Okay, let's start with this. First, where are you at? Just so you know, geographically, you live in the sickest place in the entire world. You'd be better off if you lived in the darkest regions of the jungles of Africa with disease-ridden mosquitoes than living here geographically. You're more likely to lose your health. We're the sickest society on the face of planet Earth that you don't live in the outdoors. Did you guys get that? We are also the fattest one. So this is not a good thing. You guys with me? And this is not just like I'm a couple pounds overweight. This is the largest, most obese society on the face of planet Earth. I don't want to brag about that, but that is horrific, okay? So does something need to change? It needs to change, but the problem with it is you live here, and if I put you if you were like a frog and I put you in a certain environment where the temperature is an exact temperature, you'd get used to that temperature. That's the problem. So the Bible says that you are not wise comparing yourselves among yourselves, but the problem is people come to me all the time and they go, well, I'm eating pretty good, right? How many of your friends said they eat pretty good? Come on. How many times have you said you eat pretty good? Okay, I used to pastor a church. I'm looking right now, right? So the point is, you're saying that based on everybody else. And when you live in the sickest place where it's the worst decisions ever with diet and exercise and all the 5 essentials that we teach, I don't care if you're really good, you're still the worst in the world. Did you get that? I don't know about you, but being the best of the worst in the world is still horrific. Are you with me? So take what you know, get rid of it. We have to be in a completely different place. You're starting your own planet, your own country right now, where obesity goes away, diagnoses go away, things that you didn't think about. So for instance, right now, who has heard that once you're diabetic, end it? You're what? Always. Once you're diabetic, always. Do you believe that? No. Well, that's what you're supposed to say in here, right? But guess what? I mean, there's people here today who were diabetic at one time and now they're not. Literally, we see that all the time here. They say, you know, asthmatics, well, maybe they'll grow out of it. You may hear that? So just leave it. I had somebody at my gym the other day that goes, no, my kids have asthma, it's pretty bad, but the doctor said they'll just what? Grow out of it, which means you're building disease in your children's lungs until they don't have that symptom anymore and it's gone to other places in their body. Now they don't have asthma anymore, they have something else. Make sense? Which becomes lung cancer at 36 or at 42 or at 57. You guys with me? And so we have got to get out of comparisons, but just know this, starting right now, there needs to be a fire under your tail saying, oh my Lord, I didn't have any idea that all the things that I'm doing, even the ones I thought were somewhat good, needs to be changed. Here's another one. Drug use in the United States, and I'm talking about just like illegal drugs, and I'm not even talking about opioids. I'm talking about just drugs in general. We spend more per person in this country than any other country in the world, 4 times more. In fact, it's not just spending per capita. From 2000 to 2010, we almost doubled our spending. And I hear some of my mathematicians and accountants go, well, it's because the price went up. No, you didn't see it like this in the other countries, and just use per person in the same amount of time, we've actually gone from 51% of Americans using prescription, not over the counter, but prescription drugs, to 59% of us use prescription drugs every single day in this country. Now, when over half of us started using prescription drugs every day, I thought we lost. It's like we lost. War's over. Like more people are using drugs than not now. I thought, well, surely it's not going to get worse. Guess what? It got worse. Like if you ever come in and this place is not just hopping and busy, I was like, Walgreens won. They won. So this is a horrific number, okay? The average drug, the reason it's bad, a lot of reasons, the number one reason is that they have side effects, yes or no? Yes. The safest drug that you could possibly take has 70 side effects. The average list of side effects on any drug, over the counter or prescribed, has 70 side effects. Now to compound things, when you take 2 drugs, most people think, well, wow, that's 140 side effects. The problem with that is it's not additive, it's multiplication. So some of you guys that are taking or have had several different drugs in the past, there's never been research on those drugs together. And when you start looking at it, you could have side effects in the thousands. And you come in and you want somebody to get you healthy, but it's very hard to get somebody healthy when you're sucking down all these different drugs of different kinds. And it's like, if I went and bought some paint today and I put a little bit of red and a little bit of this, and what color am I going to get? Eventually a brown or something. Guess what the brown is? Completely unhealthy. Make sense? You can have a lot of different roads to get there, but if you take a bunch of drugs, guess what you'll be? Completely unhealthy. Yeah, and a zombie maybe in there too, depending on the drugs, right? or a very happy zombie. I don't know, so, but a zombie. You guys. We want to get out here. The reason that they're bad for most of us, raise your hand if you or somebody you know, they just hate taking their drugs. Somebody in your family, okay, again, I pastor a church, I'm watching you, so is God. So raise your hand. So right, watch this. So most people don't realize that the drugs have the side effects. Okay, they just take them on faith. Most people don't realize that taking there's multiplication. But one thing all of you do realize is that you realize in your heart you could do better if you're taking a medication. That you could do better. Because at the root, honestly, you don't need a doctor to tell you this, drugs don't ever get down to the root cause, do they? Right? They don't ever do that. And it takes getting healthy to get off meds or reduce them. And that's what we're here to do today. Does that make sense? So here, myth versus fact. Let's go through a couple of these things. Dr. John Robbins, I don't know if he's a doctor, but John Robbins, he wrote a book called Okinawan Diet. He also wrote a book said Healthy to 100. You guys know like the workshops, Living to 100. He also wrote a book, The Diet for a New America. Amazing, amazing stuff. That last name sounds familiar for a reason, John Robbins. There's an ice cream by the name of? Everybody knows it. He actually was the child of the people who owned the entire Baskin-Robbins fortune. And when it came time for him to take his rightful place as an heir and take over that business for whatever millions or hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever, guess what he said? He said, no, I'm not going to do it. No way. You're killing people. They're eating all this ice cream and sugar, and you're creating cancers and heart diseases and all the rest. I'm not going to do it. So he walked away from it. And he wrote all these books, and he's changed the lives of millions of people with the information, which is exactly what we're doing here today. Does that make sense? So, but I want you to see this. Weight gain with age in Americans and Okinawans. Modern American diet, everybody thinks, listen, as you get older, you just get what? Bigger, fatter. And that's literally, everybody believes that. And literally somewhere in you, just kind of, you make concessions because everybody knows you just get bigger as you age. Everybody knows that. But is that true or is that false? It's false. Let me destroy it. This is one of his research from one of his books, The Okinawan Diet. What you see is the human frame, the human condition actually gets leaner and more fit and tighter as you age when you're actually feeding it and doing healthy things for it, when you're active, when you're unsubluxated, so your nervous system's working right, when you're eating diets that are non-inflammatory, that stop destroying hormones. This literally shows that your body is designed, it is created to get leaner and healthier as you age. That might blow your mind a little bit. Now you could go, wow, that's really cool, and then go back to your way, but I'm trying to get inside of your cranium and pull stuff out and challenge you. So that might be a writer-downer to actually write that down and challenge yourself so that every time you look in the mirror and you have a couple pounds you want to lose and you're not 35 anymore or whatever age, guess what? You should go, nope, that's not right. I'm changing that. Does that make sense? Okay? Next. Maybe. Here. There we go. Okay. Genetics versus environment. Don't have time to go through it today, but one thing that you'll know is it's not genetics. Everybody wants to do genetics. It's genetic this, it's genetic that. It's not genetics. It's your environment. Time magazine says 80% of everything that you can have happen to your health has nothing to do with your genes. It's your genes being expressed through the environment and your choices. Here's a writer-downer. You ready for this? If you can lifestyle yourself into it, you can lifestyle yourself out of it. Write it down. If you can lifestyle yourself in it, you can lifestyle yourself out of it. I have one study that shows 95% of diseases, including cancer, is not genetic, which means only 5% or less of cancers are genetic, and the only thing that they're actually focusing on right now is what? Come on, genetics, brains or a stem cell and all the rest. This is not the case. Now, I'm going to challenge you a little bit, okay? Let me challenge you. For instance, my mama. Who's heard me talk about my mom before? Love my mom. My mom in May turned 75. Don't tell her I said that. Don't watch this, Mom. But my mom turned 75. When she was in her late 60s, she had arthritis so bad she couldn't move her hands, she couldn't lift a coffee cup, and she couldn't hardly do any activities. She hurt. Everything hurt, right? Anybody know anybody like that? My mom had to make a decision, and she made a decision to get rid of some of her limiting beliefs because she started listening to her harebrained son. And so she started doing some of those things that I'm going to teach you today, and guess what? She went from hurting all the time to, my mom has run over 145K runs now. She's run them. She has started doing CrossFit with me when she's in town. She drives over an hour one way to go do a type of CrossFit workout 5 days a week. She does. She started doing bike rides. She did a 100-mile bike ride. She's done this for like 20 years now. She was doing the small ones. Now she does the big ones. She likes being active. She likes doing stuff. One day she came to the workout with us and she goes, you know, David, I think I'd like to do a pull-up. She goes, my coach in the Oklahoma gym won't let me do it without somebody right there or using bands. She goes, I really want to try it without any bands or anything. I go, do it, Mom, right there. So she grabs hold of the bar. She does 10 pull-ups without anybody touching her, chin all the way over and all the way back. I was like, I can't do that. So had to change this, right? Now watch this. At this point in time, most of you guys right now think that being able to do that at 75 is an outlier. Nobody can do that. That's weird. Maybe she can do that, but nobody else can. That is not the truth. That is not your truth. That is not a truth. That is not the truth. Is everybody with me? That is not the truth. You can do this, but you have to first convince yourself that it is possible first. And you have to rewire your brain. And I want to show you how to rewire your brain. Raise your hand if you'd like to rewire your brain. Okay, I'm going to give you some of the nerdy stuff. You guys ready? Say nerdy stuff. Okay, now I need to get you going a little bit before we do that. So hold on to your stuff in your lap for a second. Give me your hands. I want 2 claps to Ric Flair. All right, so here we go. So let me show you some of the nerdy stuff. Actually, my mom just finished her 26.2-mile marathon just this year. So it's awesome. So this is solving problems, doing different things. Basically, you can't solve the problems using the same kind of thinking. So we got to rewire it. Changing habits. We didn't have a lot of time to do some of the things that I wanted to do today, so let me just help you with this. Everybody say short-term reward. Short-term. Long-term reward. Long-term reward. Exactly. Which do you think is better for you? Long-term. Which is easier? Short-term. Which has pleasure right now? Short-term. Which has a lot of pleasure, in fact, more pleasure for the long run? Long-term. Right. Which is Krispy Kreme? Short-term. Which is sleeping in? Which is getting up to go work out? Which is making your own lunch? So we know this. Which is better, Snickers or Apple? Who said Snickers? Ushers? Out. That one's out. I can't help them. No. But we got to change habits. Let's rewire your brain together. So I'm going to show you this video right now. So lights, if you would.
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic, hence neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well-traveled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. It becomes easier for our brains to travel this pathway. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep travelling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand. With repeated and directed attention towards your desired change, you can rewire your brain.
I love that. So what that shows you is you can rewire your brain. Let me give you an example, because examples are where it's at. So I, for the life of me, could not get my workouts in. This actually went on for years. Anybody else have trouble getting workouts in at all? Yeah, so I did. 5 corporations, seen a lot of people, working through lunches, and I was like, if I was going to go work out, I'd have to do it so early that it's a physical job in here. I don't think I could work out, wear myself out, and then go do this. That was a limiting belief. Would you agree? I had gotten up for 40 years, within an hour of having to leave the house and then going. Who here wakes up within about an hour of having to leave your house? Come on, this is a good group. It's okay. So that was me. And so when Kimberly would say, you just need to get up and go do your thing. And I was like, well, I just don't think I can do that. Until finally, I just had to get to a point where I had to make a decision, okay? I want you to, we talked about this the other day. I want you to write this down. This is a writer-downer. C-I-D-E, side. C-I-D-E, side. Suicide means what? Kill yourself. Homicide means what? Kill somebody. Herbicide means what? Don't say kill an herb. Kill a plant. It's called kill a plant. It was a bad example. How about a pesticide? Kill what? Kill bugs or pests, right? So when you put C-I-D-E, it means to put to death. It means put a plant to death, put a pest to death, put a person to death. C-I-D-E means to put to death. So what does it mean to decide? To say to decide, if you've decided, it means that you're putting all other options to death. You've heard the story of when the explorers came to the Americas, they burned their ships. Why'd they burn their ships? Listen, we are either going to be successful or we're not going to make it. They put all other options to death when they burnt their ships. Some of you guys, by political correctness, think that you should leave so many options open as you can. The problem with it is it leaves you getting worse and worse, sicker and sicker, weaker and weaker, and less of what you should be. And that's not what we're going to do. So I had to make a decision. So I decided I was going to get up. And so I started getting up. But I've been grooving. Remember that thing you just saw in the video? I've been grooving this pattern of when I get up in the morning. So how easy was it when I first started getting up to go work out? Oh my Lord. I can't get up. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And guess what? Eventually after now first of all, I still don't like to get up at 4:30. Can I just be honest? I hate it. I can't stand it. I'd rather somebody punch me in the face and let me go back to bed half the time. But when I get there and after I've done it and I've worked out, guess how I feel? Do I ever regret it? No, I never regret it. And my life has gotten so much better. And now that I've done it so much, I just pop out of bed at 4:30, 4:28 to be exactly, because that's when it goes off, because I needed 2 more minutes to make my bed with her. So, but it's ingrained. So now, someone asked me if I'm a morning person. If you'd asked me before all this years ago, I'd have said I am not a morning person. And guess what I am now? I am a happy, ready to go morning person. Woo! 2 claps and Ric Flair. I love the morning. But guess what? Some of you guys are sitting there right now saying, I'm not a morning person. Do you know why you say that? Because you've convinced yourself and you've got that groove pattern. You can be whatever you want. And I would suggest to you that being something different than what you are now is the only way you're going to attain something different this year. You obtain something different by becoming somebody different. That might be a writer down or two, right? Let's move through some of these. This is the engine that's going to get you to where you want. Nothing else matters from this point forward in this seminar if you don't get this. This is how important this is. Don't write anything down on nutrition. Don't schedule an appointment in the office. Don't buy any nutritional products if you don't understand this. This is the engine to change. Here it is. Beliefs and thoughts to feelings to action. So it goes like this. It goes like a clock, okay? Let me give you an example. I see people up here losing weight. They're doing great. My mom's story, all the rest. All of a sudden, you believe, hey, I think I can get healthier. I think I can reverse something. I think I can get off meds. I think I can feel better and be healthier. I think. This is a belief. I believe I can do it. That turns into feelings of hope. I believe I can change it. I can see myself there, which turns into actions. Hey, I'm going to do the seminar. I'm going to do the Resolve Challenge. So you're going to get the stuff, go do this for a month. That turns into results, which is you lose 8 to 15 pounds. Got it? Now, let's say this. At the end of a month from now, if you lost 8 to 15 pounds, would you feel better and would it affirm the thoughts that you had that you could change your life? Guess what happens to your feelings now about the whole situation? They get stronger. Guess what happens to your resolve to keep doing actions? They get better. Guess what happens to your results? They keep getting what? Better and more. Guess what happens to your beliefs? They get stronger. Keep doing it. Keep living it. Keep moving forward. Now, is this a stainless steel process that has no hiccups in it? No, life happens. Guess what? As soon as you decide that you're going to get up, guess what's going to happen? Your alarm clock's going to go off. You're going to have something happen. You're going to have drama in your house. One of your kids needs you to talk until 2 in the morning. Guess what? Life happens. And guess what? If you decided there's no other options, you're going to get up. You're going to do it. Because you do what? You decided. Say decide. Right? But this also works in reverse. This is why you taking action is so important. Watch this. Let's say that someone comes along and says, don't get your hopes up. You could hurt yourself. Aren't you a little old for this? And you go, maybe I am. And so the hope that you have starts to what? Dwindle down just a little bit, and your actions start to wax and wane. And if your actions wax and wane, what happens to your results? They wax and wane, or they don't show up. And guess what happens to your beliefs? It affirms the negative. This works positive, and this works negative. And guess who gets to decide? The Bible says, I set before you life and death. And just so in case you didn't read it right, God says, go ahead and choose life, right there. And so you can choose life or death. I would suggest to you that everything in your life is life or death. And isn't that extreme? Well, yeah, it may be a little extreme, but guess what? You getting up to go work out additively over this year has made the best year that you'll ever have yet. You making decisions to eat right or wrong will, if it's right, make the best year you've ever had yet. Are we clear? Yep. Let's move forward. Now, where's my Shirley at? Not to throw her out, but watch this. Had someone come in recently, and I love everybody, but I just had this connection with Shirley and her husband instantly, and a lot of you guys are like that. I'm not going to have her go run a marathon, but I needed something to connect, and I needed something to lead her into. And so I'm not going to have her go run 5Ks or go run a marathon. So I was just praying in the Spirit, kind of under my voice, and as I'm talking to her, and the Holy Spirit said, ask her about vacations. And she said, I said, do you guys go on vacation? She said, well, I don't go on vacations much. I don't walk as much as I used to. I'm kind of uncomfortable. I go, well, if you could go on vacation, if everything felt great, where would you go? She goes, Branson. She got this look on her face. It was like, oh, she likes Branson. Tell me about Branson. She started telling me about it. I was like, oh, she really likes Branson. She would really like to go to Branson. And I went, that was it. It's Branson. So my thought was, hey, you know what she needs to be in training for? Not a 5K, not a marathon. She needs to be in training to go where? To Branson. So if she ever misses an appointment, I'm going to say, what about Branson? Oh, you didn't do your exercises? Wait, what about what? Branson. Hey, are you doing all the things we talked about? Wait, what about Branson? Everybody say Branson. Branson. Branson is the same thing metaphorically that every single person here needs. If you're in training for your, quote, Branson, whatever your Branson is, if it's big enough, if it's fun enough, if it gets you excited enough, you'll say no to all the short-term rewards for the Branson. But if you don't have a Branson that you're working towards, it's going to be really hard to say no to the cheesecakes, to the alarm clock second snooze, to everything in your life that would keep you right where you're at last year, this year. You need a Branson. Write this down. Find my Branson. I'm going to work on this, and I want you guys to work before you leave to set what your Branson is. Everybody know it? So listen, your Branson actually may be a 5K run. It might be something else. It might be just something that you really enjoy, a trip or something like that. You want to be in training for it, though, so it's going to push you that you have to eat right, you have to exercise, you have to do those things. Make sense? So it's Branson. Everybody say Branson. 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 Okay, so Branson's where it's at, and you have to keep your eye on Branson. So if you get tired, are you going to get tired? Yes. Are you going to get a little bit waxy, weighty? You kind of want to have some sweets or something like that. So things you used to eat, are you going to want that? Let me be very clear. Are you going to want that? Yes, you are going to want that because your brain has that pathway. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to think about what? Branson. Say it again. Branson. So you better find your Branson. If you don't have a Branson before you leave, the likelihood that you're going to be successful is not very good. So we got to have a Branson first. Beliefs. I'm going to skip through a couple of these. I want to start with limiting beliefs. I love it. Oprah Winfrey got fired from her first TV job. Did you know that? Walt Disney went bankrupt like 27 times or something like this. Who was it? The basketball player. What's his name? Michael Jordan got kicked off the basketball team. Did you know that? Like, there's lots of people that failed. This guy that made light, Thomas Edison, literally, he said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just figured out 10,000 ways that wouldn't work to make a light bulb. Raise your hand if you've ever failed at anything. Oh, they go up quick now, huh? Mine too. But listen, we all fail, but just because you fail doesn't make you a failure. But let's talk about limiting beliefs. My mom had a limiting belief because she hurt her knee when she was in high school. So her whole reason for not going and running when her friends wanted to go run or biking or anything else was because she had a basketball knee. She had a what? Basketball knee. So I asked her to, no, I have my old basketball knee, my basketball knee, my basketball knee, my basketball knee. It was like a tape. And guess what? You have tapes running in the back of your head too, subconsciously. I have a what? Basketball knee, whatever your basketball knee is. It's your limiting belief. I'm too old. I'm too big. I'm too arthritic. I have too many meds. I'm not healthy enough to do that. You have some limiting beliefs, and they're holding you back. You should be unholy. You should be wholly righteous. You should be so aggravated with the stuff that you've listened to those tapes keep you where you're at, that you want to break something. You want to get upset with it. And guess what? It's okay. Get upset, kick something, and change your life. My mom had to go, nope, I'm going to do it even though the knee hurts. And guess what? She pushed through and she pushed through, and guess what? She ran a marathon on her what? Basketball knee. You have limiting beliefs. Everybody has them. Now, the next thing I want you to write down, this is a writer-downer, find 2 limiting beliefs. I want you to find that before you leave today, which means, guess what? On the break, you need to be thinking about this. And I asked you when you came in, if you value this, you would actually write things down. You'd take notes, and then you'd take your notes. Got it? And you have to get this before you leave. You need a Branson, and you need 2 limiting beliefs that you can start coming against and destroying that in your life so you have a better year. Limiting beliefs. Last but not least, I'm going to leave you with this. Is part of, what is it?
I want to ask you.
Yes.
Why did you say that limiting beliefs are greater than empowering beliefs?
Because right now, empowering beliefs are ones that aren't ingrained yet. You want to actually take your limiting beliefs and you want to change it. So right now, like my mom, one of the things I did with my mom is I give her an empowering affirmation, a belief, to create a belief. And she said she's got a basketball knee. The subcontract she's made with herself is, I have arthritis, too bad to be doing these things, right? That is her limiting belief at a foundational level. Her empowering belief, we start with an affirmation, is, my joints are healthy and strong. My joints are healthy and strong. I gave her another one later on about gliding smoothly and a bunch of other things that she had to tell herself. But when you start, they are greater, are they not? You've lived however old you are, put your age in here, you've lived in your skin this long, and you have repeated that cycle. Remember that looks like a clock, beliefs and feelings and actions and results. You've gone through that so many times that it is a real thing. And you might go, well, I really do have arthritis. Well, guess what? I bet you I could take an x-ray and I would see it. But does it mean you're stuck there? Well, my doctor says once you have arthritis, it's always there. Well, guess what? Henry Ford says, whether you think you can or can't, you're right. The one person I cannot help in this office are the people who think that I cannot help them. The people that think I can help, you can give me a person who has no chance at all to live, and if they know in here that they're going to live, I'll show you a person who will outdo every statistic. But you got to know it here first. Am I clear? Good. Affirmations. There's no part of wellness without self-affirmation and without self-love. If you don't love yourself, if you're not speaking kind to yourself, if you don't figure out a way to do that, it's impossible to do well. I have affirmations. In fact, if you look at anybody successful in the world, they all have one thing in common. Guess what they have? Positive affirmations. You know, I hate it from the Saturday Night Live skit. If you were growing up in the 80s and 90s, you saw Stuart Smalley. I'm good enough. I'm smiling. I'm smart enough. And by golly, say it. People like me. It's funny you guys got that. If you're under 25, you don't know what I'm talking about right now. My affirmations, I'm healthy, wealthy, strong, wise, and I'm under authority. I'm healthy, wealthy, strong, and wise, and I'm a man under authority. If I have something come against any of that, guess what? I'm healthy, wealthy, strong, and wise. I'm a man under authority. Guess what? That's a powerful statement for me. You need to have an affirmation for you. Because guess what? Your tape is going to run again, and it's going to tell you, no. Remember we talked about this whole time for the last 40 years? You're too old. You have too much arthritis. You're too heavy. You're too whatever. You've never done that before. You're not a morning person. But guess what you say? The opposite. You change that. You start having an affirmation. You love yourself. Raise your hand if you think you might possibly be your worst critic. Okay, it's at least a truthful room now. You are. You would never let anybody talk to you the way that you talk to you, ever. You'd punch them in the face. Seriously, and some of you guys are like, I would never, and then someone would say something that you said to you, and you just, pow, punch them right in the face, some little tiny 95-year-old little lady, right? You would never talk to somebody else like you talk to you. So stop it. Love yourself. Here's the thing. Don't love yourself when you get six-pack abs. Don't love yourself when you lose 15 pounds in the next month. Don't love yourself when you do everything perfect through this challenge that we're going to do for the next month. Don't love yourself then, love yourself when. Or you're never going to get there, because guess what? You're going to make a mistake. Something's going to happen. You're not going to do it perfect. Raise your hand if you're not perfect. Now, keep them up. Keep them up. Now, everybody look around. Now, Look to your neighbor. Say, I'm not perfect. That didn't work very good. Some of the spouses went, yeah, I know. I know this. But watch this. Everybody say, that's okay. Are you going to mess up? Yes. Say, that's okay. But if you make it okay, you'll actually do more right, which means you got to love yourself first. So come up with some affirmations. That's the next thing. I want to Branson. I want to take off 2 of my limiting beliefs. And what's the last one? I want an affirmation. You guys with that? Makes sense. Am I clear? Are you ready to go? Now keep writing. I'm going to bring her up. She's going to go through some nutrition, and she is going to she's going to give you the latest stuff on nutrition ever, okay? But we're going to go through a couple things for nutrition before she comes up. If you're over 40, you don't smoke, it's almost a sure thing that you're going to die of one of 4 things, okay? Heart disease, cardiovascular, cancer, all these things. That is what's going to kill you, neurodegenerative disease. How do you get out of that? You start changing your nutrition, okay? You change your nutrition by knowing what are we eating the most of. Look at this. Most of our calories come from grain-based desserts and bread. Everybody say bread. And no, you don't have to have bread to have your nutrition. Everybody goes, well, I have to eat bread. No, you don't have to eat bread. Now, I need some volunteers. I says, can I have my team up here? Good. My team, good, excellent. Who feels like volunteering? Anybody feel like volunteering? Because you're in the back, David, let me have you. And actually, I want you too, Joel. So you guys come up. Give him a round of applause. Come on. Good. All right. So let me describe this. I'm going to do this analogy. I want you guys to see me throw some balls around. And I want you to see this analogy because these are going to be sugar. Everybody say sugar. Sugar is what aids you. Sugar is what diseases you. Sugar is not a good thing. Would you agree? Right? But sugar is what you've got to get rid of. Right? Now, what you have to do is you have to figure out how to get rid of the sugar. You can apply to that. That was cool. Yeah. 2 claps and a Ric Flair. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, this is going to be your insulin receptors. Your cells have up to 20,000 insulin receptors on them, but as you eat more and more sugar, it destroys insulin receptors and they start to fail. I'm going to show you how it happens. This is going to be sugar. This is going to be you eating over here, and I'm going to help you guys too. What happens is, for sugar to get into your cell, it has to attach with insulin to an insulin receptor, and then the insulin receptor does what? Puts in the cell. So let me show you how it works. You guys grab 1 ball each, like this. Then I want you to throw them 1 at a time to somebody over there. This is you with it. Keep going. Grab 1 at a time. So this is you eating a healthy diet, not being subluxated, eating what you should, not eating a lot of sugar. Good. Stop. Good. Excellent. Good. Now, watch this. It's okay. We're going to keep going. So that's healthy. Does it make sense? Now, the problem with it is most people eat too much what? It's in everything. She's going to go through it. But the average United States diet has 85% carbs, and they're not good carbs. Most people eat 150 pounds of sugar a year. Did you get what I just said? 150 pounds. Some of you guys don't weigh 150 pounds, and you're eating 150 pounds of sugar a year. So this is what it looks like. Watch this. If you eat too much sugar, it looks like this, and we're going to start throwing balls at them, and this is your insulin receptors to get blood or get sugar into your cells, into your body. So watch this. So we're going to start throwing. Go ahead and start catching them, guys. Right there. Good. Now stop, stop, stop. Good. Now what happens is, can you see they were just overloaded? Would you agree? If you overload them and you overwork them, what's going to happen is you're going to have 2 of them just start failing. So where you started out with 20,000 insulin receptors, you may now only have 5. So 2 of you guys turn around. Good. And now you only have 1, right? But watch this. You're not changing your diet. Let's do this again. Come on. So keep throwing. It's right there. Good. Right there. Right. Good. Right there. Good. All right. Now, if you don't change things and you keep eating the same way, what is she doing? She's getting tired just like they did. When they start going down, the last ones, this is when you start getting into the end stages. But watch this. When was it diabetes? When she got tired or when they turned around? When they turned around, because what happens is now, even with insulin, the the glucose, the sugar, can't get into the cell. So all these balls laying everywhere here, this is in your bloodstream. So you have higher blood sugar. You could be borderline or you could be fully diabetic with higher and higher blood sugar. And all this sugar in your blood ages you. This is what causes arthritis. This is what causes cancer. This is what causes heart disease. This is what causes, allergies and hormone disruption and aging and crow's feet and, crow's feet in your shoulder where you get your pencil out of your back seat and you rip your shoulder joint. You didn't even lift anything. This is what causes that. Does that make sense? So this has to change. Let's take these and put these back. So what's the only way to clean this up? You have to clean it up by, it's okay. We have to clean this up by, now one at a time. One at a time. Good. One at a time. Good. Eating a lesser amount of sugar so that our insulin receptors cannot be overloaded, and all of a sudden, and this is what every endocrinologist will tell you doesn't happen, or I should say most, if there's not as much pressure, guess what happens to these two? Now you guys start turning around. These will come back. You can get insulin receptors to come back online again. So then guess what? My weight starts to change. I'm more insulin sensitive. Now I can get off insulin. I can get off drugs. Again, you can reverse diabetes. Sometimes as little as 2 weeks to 4 weeks reverse diabetes because these come back to life again. But what this is, that's good. This is getting crazy. But what this is not a sugar problem, right? Or I should say this is a sugar problem. This is not an insulin problem. This is not an insulin problem. If you don't change the sugar, it doesn't matter how much insulin you put in here. These guys are going to turn around. They're not going to pay attention. Which means to say, how many of you guys, if you have somebody that you know that's been diabetic and they're on insulin, what happens to their levels of how much insulin they have to take? Does it stay the same or does it keep going more and more? It gets more and more because the doctor said, don't worry about what you eat. I had an 8-year-old come in diagnosed with diabetes the other day. Nobody wanted to see the cause. It came out of nowhere. It came out of the blue. She had all these other issues going on. And the doctor said, just give her a shot of insulin before every meal, at least 4 times a day, and don't worry about what she eats. She can have ice cream, fried chicken, she can have Cheerios, she can have whatever she wants, just because the insulin's going to take care of it. That is the most asinine statement ever, and everybody here agrees with that. But guess what? Your doctor's told you things that are just as ridiculous, and you went, yeah, okay. But this is so simple, isn't it? The only solution to you not aging and having disease when it comes to your diet is the first thing is to reduce what? Sugar. Can I get 2 claps and a Ric Flair? All right, so we're going to move forward. I just love that. So move forward. And I'm going to bring my wife up. Big round of applause for our volunteers. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Now my wife's going to come up. She's going to rock it with a lot of the other things. So the first thing you're going to write down for nutrition is eliminate what? Sugar. Say it again. Sugar. Eliminate sugar. Eliminate sugar. Now go back to the mindset thing. I wanted you to have a Branson. Say Branson. Good. I want you to have 2 what? I want not have. I want you to get rid of 2 what? Limiting beliefs. And the last thing I want you to come up with is what? Affirmation. Exactly.
Thank you, baby. Was that fun? Was that fun, guys? Okay, so quick math test. Coming for the kiss, huh? Quick math test. Who knows? What's the answer? We got smart kids in here. What's the answer? Diabetes. Oh, man. You guys got it. Way smarter than I am. Awesome. Okay. So we got to, now, does everybody believe now that, can you see that you believe actually that diabetes actually can go away, that we can heal from diabetes? I mean, we had 20 cases last year of diabetes completely heal. Now, your doctors are not telling you that, are they? They're not telling you that, but in this office, that's what happens. And so check out this study here. The McMaster Diabetes Study was a pilot study talking about actually where you actually change diet and exercise, and they actually decreased insulin in these cases. And so what was really awesome is you can see here, 41% of patients remained symptom-free after 3 months. 3 months, right? Check out the next only, now look at the study, very telling, 21% remained symptom-free following nutrition exercise plan for 2 months. So what was the key? Compliance and consistency, right? We had to be consistent over a period of time. That actually is what gets us to heal those, what, on this side? What would you guys see on this side? The insulin receptors, right? It takes a period of time. Because as you can see here, the third one says only 14% remained symptom-free, and they stayed on insulin. Okay, so the process that you go through, it takes time, but you can actually heal, and the study actually proves it. Now, so today what we're going to unpack is there's going to be 3 things for your Resolve Challenge that you're going to want to make as commitments in order for us to heal these areas, okay? So the first thing, what you're going to see is you're actually going to see we're going to want to cut the what? Cut the sugar. And then you're going to want to cut the things that turn to sugar. Now, that's usually the thing people get the most upset about. Man, sugar, I mean, okay, I'll stop the Dr. Pepper and I'll stop the candy bars. But when I say, what about the things that turn to sugar, that's usually when they go, right? We don't really like that. Because it's the bread, right? The bagels, the noodles, the rice, the pasta. Did you guys see the Oz commercial or the little section that he did where he showed people who ate? They did a comparison between someone who ate a piece of bread and someone who ate a Snickers bar, and they checked their blood levels right afterwards, and guess who was worse? The bread was worse, right? So the bread was worse. So that means that we may be, pushing aside the Dr. Pepper, we may be pushing aside, the Snickers bars, but what most of us need to do is push aside what? The grain desserts, right? That's the grain, full of grain desserts that we have in the breads. Right? That's really where we're getting most of our sugars from. And that actually, I'm going to show you in just a second. And now most of us start thinking, oh my gosh, you're taking my breads away. I'm going to starve, right? I'm going to show you how you're not going to starve. I promise, you won't starve. I'm going to show you the nutrients here in just a second. Usually that's what people think. I'm going to starve, okay. Okay, what's the #1 source of liquid sugar? Soda. So I actually, and it's 55 gallons of pop that people are consuming a year. I have a little demo here. Check this out. So let's just say who was a Mountain Dew drinker? Okay. So would anybody just grab these sugar packets and just eat them one after another? Just one after another. You're just being so mean. Let's point her right out. One after another. There's actually a really good movie, that sugar film. If you've never seen, get that movie. Get it for your kids, too. Get them to watch it. And, I mean, amazing movie. But check this out. Would you just, we're not just going to sit here and do one after another here. Now, this is actually 20, I think that's 20 teaspoons of sugar. And then I have a little Coke here. Some of you like the Coke, right? So there's actually a little bit more sugar in the Mountain Dew. But we're not going to sit there one after another. That's actually the joint pain, right? That's actually the wrinkles. That's actually the love handles, right? That's the autoimmune disease. That's what that is. And so the #1 source, 1/3 of dietary sugar comes from soft drinks. And then for those of you who think, well, I'm not going to drink the soft drinks. I'm going to do the South Beach tea. How many of you are doing that? Right? The green tea, South Beach, I'm going to get the beach body, right? That's what we're thinking. But check out, it's actually 61 grams of sugar, which is equivalent to 15 teaspoons. So you've got the same amount of teaspoons over here. You might as well eat the Sara Lee cherry pie. Right? I mean, I don't know, it probably tastes better, but don't do the pie, but I mean, so sugar in that. Now check out, what about those of you who are doing the rock star, right? Few guilty ones in the room, right? The rock stars, right? But that's equivalent to the six Krispy Kreme. Now, again, you might as well eat the donuts. Now, I'm not saying don't eat donuts, but probably tastes better. That's actually so 62 grams. If you want to know when you read your labels, look at the serving size on the back of a label. And if it tells you there's 4, I think one of these, it says the serving size is 2. Nobody just drinks half, right? They drink like a liter sometimes, right? But look at the serving size and see how many grams of sugar and then divide that by 4. So if you look at that, 62 divided by 4, it's about 15. It'll tell you how many teaspoons, 15 teaspoons. That's how you can figure out how much sugar is in something. If you just look at the labels and you can actually figure out the sugar content in it, right? Now check out this. Who likes Starbucks? Right? You can put yourself under the bus. Hey, I used to do, my favorite thing was the chai tea lattes. I think they have the chai tea lattes, and pretty soon you're drinking them and you're like, can you a few more pumps? A few more pumps of the vanilla, more. Was it only me? Right? I gave those away, gave those up 2.5 years ago. But the Starbucks, typically people aren't doing that. They're doing the Starbucks peppermint white chocolate mocha with whipped cream, 95 grams of sugar. Oh my goodness, it's 25 teaspoons. No wonder you feel so full after. You don't want to eat, right? But 8.5 scoops of Eddie's ice cream. I mean, I think I'd rather eat the ice cream. Anyway, that's just me. Right? 25! All right, who's feeling a little like they burned out these receptors over here right now? Right? There's some dead receptors laying around here, right? Okay. Okay, so sugar sources. Most of the sugar sources that we are finding are coming from corn, guys. Corn. So when you start seeing corn syrup, corn meal, corn starch, right, you're starting to see all that. And then you look at the oses, lactose, fructose, right, glucose, sucrose, dextrose, right? You ought to start paying attention to these types of things. And then what about the ooey gooey kind of syrupy, sugary stuff, right? The places where you should be getting sugar from should not be ooey gooey and sticky, like honey and things like that, like you're seeing up here, the syrups and things. It should be what's readily found in nature, right? So what's readily found in nature that's sugar in it? Fruit, right? It should be, that's the kind of stuff that we're looking for. We want to stay away from these sugar sources. There's so many sugar sources. Now we hit diabetes, right? We've been kind of hammering on diabetes. But what about sugar and cancer? Check this out.
Sugar. This idea that sugar increases this particularly bad LDL, the small, dense particles that are associated with heart disease. Do most doctors, do they know this?
No, they do not know this.
So
this is new.
And it turns out sugar has become a major focus in cancer research too. Lewis Cantley is looking at the connection.
If you limit your sugar, you decrease your chances of developing cancer.
Absolutely.
Cantley, a Harvard professor and the head of the Beth Israel Deaconess Cancer Center, says when we eat or drink sugar, it causes a sudden spike in the hormone insulin, which can serve as a catalyst to fuel certain types of cancers.
What we're beginning to learn is that insulin can cause adverse effects in various tissues. And of particular concern is cancer.
Why? Nearly a third of some common cancers, including breast and colon cancers, have something called insulin receptors on their surface. Insulin binds to these receptors and signals the tumor to start consuming glucose.
So this is your body eating.
Every cell in our body needs glucose to survive. But the trouble is, these cancer cells also use it to grow.
So if you happen to have a tumor that has insulin receptors on it, then it will get stimulated to take up the glucose that's in the bloodstream. So rather than going into the fat or the muscle, the glucose now goes into the tumor, and the tumor uses it to grow.
So you've just seen that tumor turn blue, which is essentially reflective of the glucose going into it.
That's right.
So these cancers, much in the same way that muscle will say, hey, I'd like some of that glucose. The fat says, I would like some of that glucose. The cancers have learned how to do this themselves as well?
Yes, so they have evolved the ability to hijack that flow of glucose that's going by in the bloodstream into the tumor itself.
Lewis Cantley's research team is working on developing drugs that will cut off the glucose supply to cancer cells and keep them from growing. But until there's a breakthrough, Cantley's advice, don't eat sugar. And if you must, keep it to a minimum.
In fact, I live my life that way. I rarely eat sugar.
When you see a sugary drink, or if I were to offer you one, with all that you know, what's going through your mind?
I probably would turn it down and get a glass of water.
I think we'd probably turn it down and get a glass of water too if we knew that, right? Pretty powerful, right? The sugar. So check out this PET scan. If you've ever had a PET scan done, that's one of the tests that they do to be able to find where the tumor is. The problem is they actually make you drink radioactive sugar. So when you drink the radioactive sugar, think about that. It actually goes to the area where the tumor is. So it tells us that sugar, cancer loves sugar, right? And so that's one of the things they do. So what should we avoid if we have had cancer, or we don't want to get cancer, or we have it, right? Sugar. It's actually more addictive than I think it's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. Sugar is, right? So, all right, I'm going there. We're going there with the bread. Sorry, we're going there for the bread. So they say the whiter, what is it? What's the saying, David? The whiter the bread, the faster you're dead. That's so mean, isn't it? Right? The whiter the bread, the faster. This is the number one source of sugar, right? We said number one source of liquid is going to be soda, but the number one source of sugar is bread. Acceptable grains. So if you are a person that is going to follow, we have 2 eating plans, which those eating plans are in these books right here. We got the cruise ship and we've got the Maximize Living Nutrition Plan book. We have eating plans in here. They cover the core and advanced plan. The core plan is for people who aren't trying to deal with some specific health issues, okay? They're just really trying to be healthy. And so if you're just trying to have healthy everyday living and you are going to consume bread, it does cause your sugar to go up. Your glycemic index will go up, but your better sources are going to be sprouted, whole grain, and stone ground. Those are going to be your better sources if you are going to have it. So for those of you who like bread, who are not going to give it up, this is your better option, okay? Because remember what I said, the whiter the bread, the faster you're... Okay. Actually, I didn't say that. I'm just quoting it. Okay. Now check out this. Okay, I think this thing's my microphone. Check out this, looking at labels here. Check out this label here. So this label on the cereal, the second ingredient is showing what? Is it my mic or is it my sugar? So we've got the sugar, we've got the corn flour. There we are again. So we got to keep our eyes peeled on the labels, because even stuff that we think looks healthy, we got to check out the back and check out the label on there. Again, even checking out stevia, we actually talk to people about eating, instead of sugar, do stevia. And so stevia is one of the more natural sugars. You can grow a stevia plant in your house if you want to. All right, so check out your stevia packets. Make sure your stevia, look at what's the first ingredient on there? Can you guys see it? Dextrose. So there's sugar in your stevia. So I would pick some up, put it in your purse, and carry it with you if you're out and about and you just want to make sure you sweeten it a little bit. Okay, so for those of you who think, oh my goodness, if I take my grains away, I'm going to die. Okay, this was actually a study done. The best carbs with the highest amount of nutrients, densely packed nutrients. Let's go through the list. Kale, can you guys see the numbers? 1,000, 1,000, 824. So kale, collards, bok choy, spinach, cabbage, red pepper, romaine lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, green pepper, artichoke, carrots, asparagus. There's 12 or 13 I just said. So that means the top 12 or 13 are what? Vegetables. Oh, don't talk to me about that. Talk to God. He gave us the Garden of Eden. I'm not, for those of you who are like, no, I don't like vegetables. I talk to you, I know. So I do know. Right, but a bowl of spinach, 1 bowl of spinach is equal to 14 bowls of oatmeal. Is that shocking? So I promise you're not going to starve if you get rid of your oatmeal or you get rid of your bread or your noodles or your rice or your pasta. Okay, so the best carbs are vegetables. So we just hit the best carbs. So kale. So your first 12 you're going to hit, and then strawberries are next. So that's on the advanced plan. So you guys are going to do just fine as far as your nutrients are concerned, I promise. Okay, so what is the first rule? We said we have 3 commitments for the Resolve Challenge. The first one is what? Cut out sugar, because we're going to heal what? Insulin receptors. You guys are awesome. Okay, good. The second rule is going to be rethink your fat. Now, there's a lot of kind of like messed up thinking that we have all acquired, myself included, because before I became a chiropractor, I ate all that stuff that you saw up there. Okay, I promise. Before I went to chiropractic school and I learned all this kind of stuff, I was eating much worse than maybe most of you guys out there. And so no worries, we've been there. My husband and I both have been there. But one of the things we want to make sure that we change the way we think is about fat. Fat, no fats are bad. Actually, all fats are great. What happens is they get damaged. The processing and the refining, all the stuff that goes through what happens with fat is they actually get damaged. And so we want to know what are healthy fats. One of the things you want to do, if you're going to choose anything to increase in your diet right now, it would be fat. You can actually eat up to 65, 75% fat in a course of a day, and you're actually going to be healthy, okay? Your hormones are going to love you for it. Your skin will love you for it. All of your organ cells and tissues. Your brain is mostly fat. So this is something that we've been told that's screwed up. We've all been brainwashed in this area, but this is actually something we really want to dial in a whole lot more, is making sure we're getting healthy fats. How many of you have ever had this little beautiful little thing? Right? Nah, I won't throw anybody under the bus there on that one. So weight loss and fat intake, they did a lot of research studies on 645 overweight and obese patients eating high fat versus low fat. There was no correlative response that said, okay, low fat's better. Because really, whenever you read the label and it says low fat, all it means is high sugar. So it's another one of those lies we're told on labels. It just really means high sugar. So I'm going to show you actually another really disturbing lie that we're being told right now. Check this out right here.
If you could pack all of human history into 1 year, we've only been farming and eating grain since about yesterday, which is when we became shorter and fatter. We only started consuming processed vegetable oils about 10 minutes ago, which is when heart disease became our #1 killer. So after examining all this human history, the experts came to the obvious conclusion. We need to eat a lot more of these. And so they convinced us that human health depends on foods we didn't eat for more than 99% of our entire existence. How did this happen? In the 1950s, a biochemist named Ansel Keys published a study that compared heart disease and fat consumption in a half-dozen countries. The more fat, the more heart disease. The trend line was unmistakable. Just one little problem. Keys left out countries where people eat a lot of fat but have very little heart disease, like Holland and Norway. He also left out countries where people don't eat much fat but do have a lot of heart disease, like Chile. In fact, Keys had reliable data from 22 countries, and the results were all over the place. But you can't make a big splash in the scientific community with a trend line that looks like this. So Keys did what any dedicated researcher would do. He threw out the data that didn't fit and published his results. His punishment for this bit of scientific chicanery was to get his picture on the cover of Time magazine. Keys became known as the father of the lipid hypothesis, which says that eating saturated fat raises the cholesterol in your blood, and high cholesterol in your blood clogs your arteries and causes heart disease.
The hypothesis that when you eat high fat, that produces high cholesterol, and the cholesterol produces heart disease, is wrong in every one of those links.
This whole idea that dietary fat causes cholesterol problems is sort of a myth. The whole idea that cholesterol problems lead to heart disease is a myth.
The theory is completely and totally wrong. It was a theory that was made out of whole cloth and then pushed.
The term artery clogging saturated fat, it's as though it's all one word.
It's become part of the zeitgeist. Everybody knows saturated fat is bad for you, but when you get back and you start looking at the medical literature and you root back through to find out where this whole idea came from, it's bogus.
Does that blow in some of your mind? Have we been lied to? We've been lied to. This guy right here, Dr. Paul Dudley White, he actually is a cardiologist, and he said that before all this stuff with corn oil and stuff was introduced, he never even saw a heart attack. Never saw any, because people were actually eating butter and lard. Butter and lard. We got to get back to that butter, right? I mean, I told some of you my job growing up in my house was when I get off the school bus, I would cook, and so I'd come home. My mom worked in the factory, and I would reach under the kitchen sink and I would pull a coffee can out and put it on the counter. What's in the coffee can? Right? It's like the vegetable oil, like the canola oil stuff, right? And the mold doesn't even want it, but I'm like sitting there eating it every day, right? But we got to get back to the butter, you know, that whole process of fat. We've been actually lied to. We are all going to have to rewire our brain. For those of us who've been told one thing, we got to rewire our brain. That's the whole purpose of today, is make sure and get back to the healthy fats. What do healthy fats do, just so that we can be convinced? What do? They build our cell membrane. So literally every single cell that you have in your body is made up of these healthy fats. Okay, we don't want these cell membranes in our body to be made up of, French fries, right? Absorbs vitamins, it cushions your organs, it protects you from extreme temperatures, helps you with your hormones. I mean, any hormone challenges out there? Have you guys seen a trend in the past 30 years with hormones? They're a mess, right? This is something that we've been lied to about. 70% of our brain is made up of healthy fats. In fact, check out the ants. Like, they know better. The ants, they're going to go to real butter. Like, do this little experiment. It's crazy. They're going to go to the real butter. They're not going to go to the fake stuff. In fact, I love this because if you look at saturated fat sources, you got your poultry, your coconut, your butter, and breast milk. I mean, if saturated fat was so bad, then why is it that God made our bodies to make breast milk and nourish a baby for 2 years? Right? Can you guys see that? Like, that's what breast milk is, saturated fat. So myth versus facts. I think this is probably a writer downer for many of you. It's probably a writer downer. Obesity and disease are linked to damaged fats. No, not linked to healthy fats, right? They're linked to damaged fats. That's really important that we understand the difference between those. Have you guys seen our demo with the French fries? Have you seen our demo? If you have not seen our French fry demo, you need to see that in the front office. We actually bought that at an event like this in 2007, May of 2007. So it's over 10 years old, and the French fries look just like that. Kind of like if you drop them in the back seat of your car and you find them a year later when you clean out your car. Everybody have that happen? I never had that happen ever. Okay, so the half-life of a trans fat is 51 days. So that means that one bag of French fries that you went out to treat yourself is still hanging around 51 days later. Half of it is still there. It takes your body, over 100 days to heal from one bag of French fries. One bag. We're talking about destroying our hormones and all this stuff. Is that bag of French fries worth it? Okay, what's this on the left? Anybody recognize that? Just kind of gross you out a little bit. Deep fried butter. What about the right? What's on the right? It's so weird. Who said it? Deep fried Coke. That's right. Deep fried Coke. Just wanted to gross you out a little bit. That's all. Okay, now keep in mind, now when we start talking about this whole fat, we're going to look at labels and stuff. You want to make sure you're checking out the labels because the label could say trans fat. Can you see the Skippy? See how it says no trans fat? They get to do that if it's less than 499 milligrams. They get to do that. Now that's like a thimble. I don't know, how big is a thimble? Like that big? That's a thimble serving size. So none of us eat that much, right? We eat half the jar when we eat it, right? If you're like me. So they get to do that and say it's trans fat free, but we know it's not. So you got to be careful when you're looking at these labels. Don't be just looking for trans fat free. Beyond trans fats, what we want to be looking for is where are we getting this fats usually? It's the dressings from our salads, right? That's usually the hidden place. You know, you get this really awesome salad and then you just slather it with the dressing. Is anybody else guilty of that, right? You just got to watch the dressings, right? The margarine, the breads, the cookies, the crackers, that kind of stuff. Your cells, we talked about your cells. If you guys ever saw me do the cell membrane thing, right? Well, this is a healthy cell. A healthy cell allows good. This is a cell membrane. It's made of mostly fat, good saturated fat, right? Good toxins, good stuff gets in with a healthy cell. Bad stuff gets out with a healthy cell. But if you eat French fries or, you know, your favorite Chick-fil-A or whatever it is, you wrap saran wrap around those cells, and pretty soon you can't get nutrients in, just like this is showing, and you can't get what out? Can't get the toxins out. So if that's the case, and this is how we're eating, can we lose weight? What about heal from cancer? No, you got to have a healthy cell. So this is going to be one of the things, maybe this is one of your action steps that you have to really ramp up, right? We said the first step in this whole process is going to be decrease your sugar. Second one is we got to rethink our, right? Okay, we're going to get into the last one here in just a second. replacing your grain. So you normally we see flour, typical flour, right? And we're kind of thinking of the white bleach flour and that kind of stuff. But these are flour replacements that have a nut base to them, good fats. So check those out. We're just changing the way. You're going to try some of this stuff here shortly too. In fact, you're going to try that. Have you guys ever had this grainless granola? Fantastic. Get yourself some full-fat yogurt, Greek yogurt, some berries, a little bit of stevia, and make some of this grainless granola. You'll try it today. But make this would be a fabulous breakfast, snack, or a lunch. That meal I just gave you, just right there. Have we been a little confused about this cholesterol thing? No, I don't have cholesterol. Then cholesterol's good. Now let's eat butter. Like, it's been a little bit of a yo-yo process for us, right? Okay, another little cholesterol study they actually did right here. PubMed did this study talking about, cholesterol as well, and then getting into the final conclusions where they basically said clinical and public health recommendations regarding the dangers of cholesterol should be revised. Moderately elevated cholesterol may prove to not only be harmless but beneficial. That's not what we're told. Were we lied to about that? Yes. Okay, that's a PubMed research article right there. How about this? Are we being lied to? So we're trying to get a good source of fat. No, let's just do the diet avocado. I better not see anybody in here buying a diet avocado, right? No diet avocados in this house. Is that crazy or what? Right? Okay, so we're going to go through, make sure, have you guys ever been to a shopping day? We have some shopping days. So we're going to wrap up here in just a second, okay? Hang in there. But I want to make sure you guys know we're teaching you guys a lot of things that maybe some of you are a little overwhelmed about. We do have a shopping day. There's going to be some sign-up sheets. You also have some stuff in your bag that you can sign up for. We take people shopping. We have awesome shopping days. We'll go to Natural Grocers and show you how to do all this shopping and get away from some of the stuff that we're not used to reading the labels and stuff like that. So make sure you sign up for that. And also, we will have a 30-day challenge, okay? The 30-day challenge will have recipes, what to eat, breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, and we have everything on a private Facebook group. So if you go to Facebook or Erb Family Friends, the Facebook group, you can download the whole 30 days, and guess what else? We're going to have a place where you guys can put questions and we'll be interactive with you, okay? Now, because it's patience, you'll have to make sure you're good with it and don't post things if it's personal. But if you have questions, it's a good place to share information and learn and grow. If you find out there's a special somewhere on something, this is a place to do that. But anyway, join the private Facebook group to be able to get that. So we're going to go into our last step before we give you a break, okay? Hang in there, the last step. So we're going to cut our sugars, and we're going to rethink our proteins. We're going to rethink our proteins. So we want to consume anything that is beef from a grass-fed cow that has not been injected with hormones or antibiotics. They're actually showing that the antibiotics, or the largest amount of antibiotics, we'll show you in just a second, are actually fed to animals. So we want to make sure that we're getting, antibiotic-free, grass-fed. The cows are fed grass and things like that. In fact, the higher up you go in the food chain, there's more mercury in it. So that's why you want to make sure that you're getting stuff that is actually not, fed bad foods, mercury and things like that. 80% of antibiotics used in farm animals. That's disgusting, right? Right? We want to stay away from those. Just keep your eyes peeled on that one. Checking out your fat ratios. So this is another one of those things that we do testing for, that metabolics testing I told you about. We can see what your fat ratios, see what your fat is and what it should be based upon a blood and urine test that we do. But your ratios of your omega-6s and your omega-3s are so critical that they are balanced. The average person has a 20-to-1 ratio. That's because the ratio in grain-fed beef is 21-to-1. So that means conventional meat that we eat out there, or dairy, right, it's 21-to-1. They're all fed grain. We want to get over to this 4-to-1 grass-fed ratio range of your 6s, your 3s. That's going to take us off the radar of heart disease and things like that. Okay, so we want to make sure we're looking at that kind of stuff. That's also why Maximize Living, you'll see some of the packaging may be different on some of the stuff. For those of you who are used to some of the old packaging, you'll see some new stuff. But that's why Maximize Living has a grass and a plant-fed whey or plant, that's going to be a pea protein, because these cows are actually fed grass. I mean, so you're going to get a really good, pure source of protein for one of your meals every day, as opposed to this stuff over here, which is full of the artificial sweeteners and things like that. So you want to go another smoothie recipe. Did you guys have smoothies today? Yes. Okay, good. Were they good? Yes. Okay, good. Yes. Okay, so another good smoothie recipe where you can kind of throw in the greens, the spinach, the unsweetened almond milk. And I said unsweetened, right? Make sure you look for unsweetened almond milk, the raw almond butter. This is a meal, like you're really full after eating stuff like that.
But I want to bring a couple up that doing amazing stuff. They're doing great. So Don and Denise, you guys come up here.
Round of applause.
Round of applause. Give them some energy. Come on up. Come on up. So, first of all, how did you hear about the office?
Through a neighbor of ours.
Let's try this again. Try it again.
Our neighbor.
So their neighbor told them about it. So when they first told you about coming to the office, were you skeptical at all?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Raise your hand if I've ever looked crazy or car salesman-like to anybody in this room. If I did it right, it should be a hand up. All right, so would you guys say that you've learned a lot since you've been here?
Just a huge amount.
Yeah, so how long have you guys been here?
3 months.
3 months? So 3 months. All right, so what was going on when you first came here?
I'd been struggling with lower back and sciatic for the past 6 to 7 years and put it off and off and off. And I was living on 10 to 12 Advil a day.
Yeah. And actually,
had to work.
Yeah, to work, you had to do that. But Denise came in, and we make sure everybody gets checked. So what is the one thing you told me? You thought what?
I was fine.
I'm good. I'm just fine. Right? So what have you guys seen since you guys came in?
Well, I don't take any more Advil.
Whoop, whoop. Come on. Yeah.
I take no painkillers.
That's awesome. Good. And you went from this.
Uh-huh. And I've gained 1.5 inches in height.
All right.
How about that?
According to the doctor.
Yeah, so for everybody that is vertically challenged and watching this, so I had a patient one time who was Asian who gained 3 inches, literally from what the DMV said, not me. And he started telling friends, and when you're Asian and that gets out, that like our whole patient base. So we started doing. So what have you noticed since you came here?
Well, I'm starting to feel better, actually. When we did the x-ray evaluation,
Yes.
Dr. Erb didn't know that I was taking medications, and I just thought, no, I'm fine. But as he went down every place he pointed to, I went, oh, that's that medicine, oh, that's that medicine. So I'm working on getting rid of all of them.
Amen. And they're doing really, really good. Big round of applause for these guys. Thank you guys so much. You're awesome. So everybody needs to be encouraged. Raise your hand if you need to be encouraged, right? Here, and again, getting encouraged creates different beliefs and thoughts, which creates feelings, which create actions, which creates what? Results, and reaffirms and reaffirms and reaffirms. If you did that all year long, it's going to be a great year. And so I'm going to give it to Dr. Kimberly. She's going to go through some more nutrition stuff.
I'm just going to advance my PowerPoint to where it should be, and we'll answer some questions while we're doing that.
Oh, answer some questions, okay.
It got started over. Okay, so we had a couple people who sent some questions in. They were sending the questions in while we were sitting here in the break. And one person said, is xylitol a good alternative sweetener? The two sweeteners there's 3 that we really like: stevia, xylitol, and erythritol. But again, you need to be careful, read those labels, because even if it's something that we say we really like, it could have dextrose or some other thing in it, okay? So those are going to be your sweeteners that are good. And then, how awesome do you look in that suit? Oh my gosh, so silly. Okay, how high does your cholesterol have to be before you should be concerned? I love that question because we actually had a friend of ours that both of our friends actually got some blood work for a life insurance policy. And the blood work came back that their cholesterol was in the 2000s, like the 2000 range. And so, you know, they were shocked. They're doctors like us.
They eat
and
great.
so they eat perfect.
He bikes 100 miles a week.
So they get the results back, and they're like, the test has to be wrong. Like, take the test again. They take the test again. It's in the 2000s. Guess what they find out? They find out that they both had Lyme's. So think about that for a second. Cholesterol acts as a Band-Aid. It's very critical to your body. If you don't have cholesterol acting as a Band-Aid in the case of somebody who has Lyme's, and you take a medication to lower your Band-Aid, metaphorically, right? If you lower it, then what are you doing? You're exposing your nerve supply to Lyme's, and you could die, right? So think about it. The body is doing the right thing at the right time. Now, if you want to know how what's going on with your fats, I'd suggest you do the metabolics testing. I think that was another question I got in here. The metabolics testing, I haven't been able to get into that much with you guys, but it is a blood and urine test that is brilliant. It's a test to be able to know what are your fats looking like. Do you have the right ratio of omega-3s and omega-6s? Are you eating the right foods to give you that right ratio? We can test that and see exactly what it is that you're doing and if you're doing the right thing to take you off the radar of a heart attack. That's really what you're worried about, right? Am I going to have a heart attack? Am I going to have heart disease? We'll be able to test that. That's what the metabolics is for. Someone else asked me about metabolics, the metabolics testing, and said, tell me a little bit more about the metabolics. And that was the blood part, the urine part, so it's a two-part test. You take it home. You take the tests home, and the test results come back in about 2 weeks, and then we're able to unpack those test results. Now, what I see on the test is I can see if you have a cancer marker. I can see if you were that person that's actually blowing out your receptors over here, blood sugar, and if you're headed to a diagnosis of diabetes. And guess what? You can totally heal it. We can see if you're moving in that direction based upon your lifestyle, and maybe you're not aware of it. So there's a cancer marker, there's a leaky gut marker. Some of you have digestive issues that you're concerned with. And so the digestive issues, we can see leaky gut, we can see irritable bowel, we can see yeast. Some of you are plagued with yeast issues. We can see that on the test results. We can see if your liver functions are not working the way they should. Also, I'm going to get into right now, this whole next section is about toxicity. And there's going to be a lot of things that we're all convicted on, okay? We are not going to arrive. We're not going to get there. It's not going to be something that we're perfect at. But I'm going to get into a lot of things on toxicity. This test will show us what areas you are toxic in and help you to be able to get rid of them, show you how to get rid of them and get them out of the system, okay? And really, in some cases, save your life.
And again, guys, every time we get to this, people are like, well, how much is the test and those things? The test is going to go up, and it's not us. The company has to raise their prices because everything's going up. So if you've been waiting for that, please make sure you get that metabolics test today.
So I think the tests were $545 today. They're how much?
Anyone?
They're like $3.
You'll see it later today.
Something.
Yeah.
They're in the 300 range, under the 300 range. So check those out.
I want to piggyback off that question. At what point do you think cholesterol should be concerned about? I think everybody's a little different. I'd be more concerned about lipid particle size and your triglyceride number, which is your basically blood sugar, because sugar in your blood will oxidize the lipid particles, and oxidized cholesterol is actually more of the cause, right? So it's oxidizing cholesterol. When your sugars are down and doing great, you don't have to worry about it. Also, I want you guys to know about numbers. Numbers is a shell game. Normals are not normals, they're averages, and then if they get enough averages, they say that you should be this. Well, if the average guy's height is 5'8", what are you going to do with me? Cut like 5 inches off the top? Like, you just can't do that. And so let me give you, this is a book called Overdiagnosed. The book's called Overdiagnosed. In it, it says when you changed fasting blood sugar, this just happened, all this is just fairly recently in the last decade. They took what they considered high blood pressure. The number had to be over 140. They took it down to 126. And basically what they did was they created 1,681,000 new cases of diabetes instantly that supposedly have to have some kind of drug or insulin or something like that. They did that for blood pressure. Again, if people talk about blood pressure all the time, they took it from 160 over 100 down to 140 over 90. So you wouldn't even be considered having high blood pressure unless it was over 160 over 100. By that one change, they increased the amount of people that supposedly needed blood pressure meds by 13,500,000, just like that. And now, it's not just about the money. They consider themselves sick and about to have a stroke and all the rest. Next is hyperlipidemia, so high cholesterol. That used to be 300. They wouldn't even say that you have high cholesterol unless it was over 300. Then they changed it to 240. Well, just from 240 down to 200, which is supposedly normal now, just from going 240 to 200, they increased the amount of cases. 42 million more people, actually almost 43 million more people, an increase of 86% of people, did you get that, need some kind of cholesterol drug to bring their cholesterol down. And what do they say? More people have heart attacks now on cholesterol drugs with lower cholesterol, or just with low cholesterol, not on cholesterol drugs, than not having just high cholesterol. Also, osteoporosis in women just changed. They changed the number from 2.5, the T-score, right? They said that if you had it had to be below that 2.5. Now, if it's below 2.0, they increased the amount of women who now have been diagnosed and convinced that your frail bones are about to break by 6,781,000 women. Right, or men if you've got that too. And so my point is, it's a shell game. And so many of you guys have been convinced that you're sick and you're damaged or you're about to pass away any second because of ooey gooey cholesterol or something else. And what's worse is you're convinced you're sick, and we said beliefs and thoughts are real things that will change things and create actions in you, and that's not what we want. And I'm sure nobody here wants to be on drugs the rest of their life. So.
Okay, last 2 questions and then we'll get started. One person asked, what happens if I don't eat? What, is there an issue if I don't eat, or if I don't feel hungry? I think that's more so like if I'm not.
Not forever.
If I'm not eating because I'm not eating because I don't feel hungry.
That's not the challenge.
No. What happens if I don't eat because I'm not hungry? And so, I mean, what happens when we skip meals? The next meal we eat is what? It's a disaster, right? I mean, it's like, give me the chips, give me the popcorn, give me the cookies, give me the whole bag of Oreos, right? When we skip meals. Now, if you're intentional about it and you're doing something like intermittent fasting, IF, intermittent fasting, where you basically say, I want to eat all of my meals between 8 and 10 hours of the day. So you might start eating at 11 and finish by 7. That's like an 8-hour period of time. That's something that is intentionally done to reset your hormones, right? To heal your hormones, to heal these guys over here, right? That's an intentional process. You can follow this eating plan that we talk about today, and you can do it within that time frame. But if you're that person that just goes, I don't want breakfast, I don't want lunch, I just eat dinner, and then it's a disaster, and you're eating all night long, you're setting yourself up for disease when you do that. So you got to be very careful. I would rather you make sure you're eating within an 8 to 10 hour window, and make sure you're intentional about it. Even if you are not hungry, you will actually get your metabolism started if you do that, and you'll start to heal, and you'll heal your hormones, and you actually start to overcome some of the disease processes.
That isn't the challenge, and we do that every day. So we only eat between 6:30 and 2, or 2:30, sorry, 6:30 and 2:30, and that's what we do all the time. So if you guys want to go to dinner, I'll go with you, but I'm not gonna eat. So
I'll be a cheap
6:30
date.
to 2:30.
We're cheap date.
Yeah, we are a cheap date.
Mm-hmm. Now, but that's for us because we wake up at 4:30. So, we start eating after we do our CrossFit workout. And that's really not for most people. It's just for us. We're working
most
during
people
those
do better
hours,
than 11 to 7 period.
So like 11 to 7, 10 to 6, that time frame is really good for a lot of people. Now, it's not for everybody. If you have questions, we can actually talk about it separately.
As soon as I said, I'm not eating dinner, you in your mind said, I could never, right? You said, I could never do that. Right?
Limiting belief.
Because it's a limiting belief. But guess what? Are you hungry in the evening times?
No.
Neither am I. We're just never hungry because we've been doing it so much. Guess what's changed?
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Right? You can be and do whatever you want. You just got to make the decision. You're going to decide and draw the line, burn your ships, and keep going.
Okay, I'm going to give you your phone back. The last one was about thermography. So full body thermography. Oh, bye, baby. Full body thermography. How many of you have ever had a thermography done? Okay, so we do what's called, some people will do thermography instead of a mammogram or in addition to a mammogram. It's just another tool that they actually would like to use instead of the radiation that you get from a mammogram. And so thermography we do in our office here. It's called full body thermography. So it's actually a really amazing assessment of all body systems and organs in the body. It actually is a really painless test. It's about an hour, it takes about an hour to do the test. And what you do is we actually have this probe or sensor, And we take it down to through all organ systems. We can see, you know, your pancreas and see different body parts and see what's going on and how well your kidney is functioning. We can measure all of that. It's another, to me, fantastic way to just give you some peace of mind about how are my organ systems working. And then when I get the test results back, I'm able to let you know, give you a strategy and a plan for either the next 3 months if it's a severe one, or the next 12 months. And then we just retest every year. It's just that peace of mind test. I got a test result this past week. It came back and it had autoimmune suspicion and brain toxicity syndrome. This patient didn't know anything about that. You think you'd probably want to know that? I mean, I got that from the thermography test. So it's just another tool to be able to evaluate. And if you have questions about that, I'll be around afterwards, and so will Dorota back in the back room that way. Did that help? Did that help you guys? Is that good? A couple little questions there. Okay, so we're going to get into the toxicity section that we talked about, and the toxic 5, and just the signs that maybe you need a detox. Okay, so the toxic 5 that we probably want to make sure we take a look at in our home. The first one is going to be our personal care products. So if we think about our personal care products and all of the chemicals that are found in our personal care products, that is why these businesses that are actually starting to grow and develop, like the Coppell, like the John Chambers, and the deodorant that we have in here, these businesses are kind of coming up because we're sick and tired of all the toxins that we're finding in these personal care products that are making people sick. Household products, all the plastics. You guys remember plastics came out, I think it was like in early 90s, and plastics started to get really popular. These plastics now are really destroying our hormones. We didn't know it. I don't think they knew at the time that this was actually going to be an issue for us. But if you take plastic and you put hot food in plastic, the plastic's going to put phthalates into your hot food, and the next time you eat it, now you have something that is a xenoestrogen that will actually destroy your hormones. So very important, some of the things that we have as far as our household products are then herbicides and pesticides. My daughter, I was telling you guys about the blood and urine test. My daughter, all 5 of us, we tested ourselves at the same time on the same day. That blood and urine test I told you about, the metabolics. We tested all 5 of us. Imagine how fun that was. A blood and urine test. So the blood is really easy. You just a little lancet, you poke your finger and you kind of fill in the little scantron and let the blood dry. The urine you just collect and freeze it, and then we ship everything off the next day. Well, all 5 of us did that on the same day. Now my daughter was 3 at the time, Zanae, the little one that's here. So when we did her test results and we got them back, all of our test results were different. What was very interesting is, you try to do better with each kid, right, moms and dads? Each kid, like the second one, the third, you're like, okay, I got this one figured out. The third one, I'm like, yeah, she made it to 4 without sugar. I thought, man, I'm doing pretty good. She made it to 4 without sugar and didn't want sugar, so that was even better. So we get her test results back, and this girl is 3, has never had any sugar in her body, and she had these 2 very scary toxins. She had 2 very scary markers on her test results. One of them was a cancer marker. 3. My kid, right? A cancer marker, and the other one was a toxicity marker that was as a result of pesticides. Now, how in the world did my kid get pesticides? So I find out that, in preschool, they lay on these mats in the classroom, right? They have one classroom where all the kids will take their naps. They don't nap, but, they lay on a mat. What they do in that school is they spray all of the rooms, and the kids are breathing in the pesticide. So my littlest one, who I thought I was doing the best with, no sugar, gets adjusted all the time, had a cancer marker. Now that's kind of scary. And what's even scarier is that the #1 cause of death in kids is cancer. Now it's happening because of the chemical overload that we're getting. That's what's happening, okay? So now we took her through a process. I got her test results back, and I took her through a detox process. And over the course of 90 days, we retest and we're clear. But in addition, I went back and talked to the teachers at the school. Now, they don't like that very much. And she wasn't there much longer after that. But my point is, I think we need to speak up, right? We got to say some of these things. We got to, people are not informed. They don't know better. I get a test result back and it shows me someone's got mold toxicity. I'm not going to just, not say anything. I'm going to tell the person they need to go back. Your workplace has mold. Your test showed that you have mold toxicity. That's why one of the causes of your illness. So you guys see what I'm saying? Like, this is really important to make sure that we do something about it. We test, that's the metabolics, and then we retest that everything's clear, okay? So I took her out of the environment, made sure to talk to the school about it, but that was one of the action steps that we did, and I think we took my daughter off the radar of ever getting that, right? Pretty exciting. We dodged a huge, scary bullet that most people would be kind of freaking out about, but that's why I'm glad that we do this type of testing, okay? So cookware and plasticware. Cookware is another one. We're actually using those, what are the pans that most people cook with? Teflon. It's supposed to be banned, still in pans. They've got even worse, ingredients now. But that's why we have companies like Salad Master out there who are actually showing us how to cook. How many of us have like Salad Master pans? They show us how to cook, right? They show us how to have proper, cooking utensils. And if that's something that you want to check out, usually they're here. You can talk to my staff and they'll come to your house and they'll cook for you and you can kind of test your own pans. This was overwhelming for me. I actually tested my pans. I thought that I bought my pans from Mercola and they were the best. You guys know who Mercola is, right? I thought, man, my pans are perfect. Like, I don't have any problems with my pans. She tested my pans and I had like all of the cast iron and I had all the stuff that you thought was really good. All of them were toxic. And so it was really overwhelming for me. And so if you cook 3 meals a day in those types of pans, and that's what we're eating, well, no wonder another toxicity marker, in issues that we might have. And then plastics, the same thing. So some of the symptoms that we're getting from all of this area of toxicity is we're getting a lot of energy zappers, right? Just, we're fatigued, right? Anybody feel that kind of like, I don't know why I'm so tired. This could be a toxicity thing. It's not in your mind. Could be a toxicity issue. What about the stubborn weight loss? You've tried everything. You're eating really good. Nothing's coming off. It could be because of toxicity. We'll show you that in a little bit. Constipation, bad breath, muscle aches and pains, skin reactions, eczema, and acne. In fact, if I just stay on that one, eczema and acne, every single case of eczema and acne or skin-related issues, because there's some pretty serious skin-related issues out there, that I've tested with that test I told you, the metabolics, blood and urine test, every single case that followed the instructions of what the test told them to do, healed. I had people in here that I tested that they were exposed to, one guy, he actually did pools for a living. So he cleaned pools. He's around what? Chlorine, right? He comes in at the age of 60, does the test. His whole life, since he was like a young adult, he'd worked on pools. He's retired from doing pools. He's always had this skin condition. And it was a skin condition that would keep him itching and scratching and bloody. It was everywhere. So when he came in, he and his wife came in, I'm like, can I see your back? Like, let me see. And it was bloody from his scratching. Now, what do you take when you're itching? Usually the doctor will give you what? A steroid, right? So now we're compounding the issues. Oh, or an antibiotic, right? We're compounding the issues and giving more problems. This guy got his test results back. He followed exactly what I told him to do, and the test results told him. In 90 days, we retested his metabolics, and 95% of the skin condition was gone. Now, would that be worth it? Right? This changed their life. He retested again. He did another round for another 90 days, and it was completely cleared up. So that was because of a toxicity exposure that his body was never able to dump. It just hung out in the system, okay? And so changed their life. I mean, imagine just trying to sleep in bed with your spouse and they're just scratching like crazy, right? That was their situation. That's how it was for them. Now check this out. There's a couple books on this. The reason why many of us are gaining weight or holding weight is because it's protective fat. Our body is trying to protect ourselves from the toxins we're being exposed to. Sometimes we don't know we're being exposed to it. These books will show you the detox diet, the toxic fat, when good fat turns to bad. This stuff is telling us the body, because toxins are stored inside fat cells. If this is my fat cell, however many toxins I have, I'm going to hold on to these fat cells until I what? Remove what? I remove the toxins, okay? Now, case in point, when I was, after I had Zoe, 15, whatever, she's 15 now. So I've been on this product, I don't know if we have it up here, this product right here, detox system. So when I was on this product, I actually started this product after I had Zoe, and I was feeling frustrated. I'm like, I know how to lose weight. Now, come on. So I'm exercising, I'm eating good, I'm doing everything, and I had this like 10 pounds that just I could not get rid of. I started this product, and for 10 and a half days, I lost 1 pound every day. I didn't do anything different. This is all I did. Why? Because the toxins I removed. I removed the toxins, and it was toxic fat. It was protective fat. So once I removed the toxins, I was at my body weight where I needed to be after having a baby. And so that was my situation, and that's actually many people's situation. It's a toxic situation. Now, check this out. Women, I'm so sorry, but I gotta give you some bad news here. The total number of chemicals that we're getting per day when we use conventional, this came from Cosmopolitan magazine, from conventional, cosmetics, 475 in a day. Now, what does that do in a week? Then think about it a month. You think maybe we might be more predisposed to getting the flu, right? Or some other skin-related issues. Check this out. Shampoo, average number of chemicals 15. Eyeshadow 6. Lipstick 33. Perfume 250. Nail varnish 31. Nail varnish, that's kind of a funny name. Nail varnish. Fake tan 22. Hairspray 11. Blusher 18. Foundation 24. Deodorant 15. Body lotion 32. Total of 475 chemicals per day. Now check this out. I'm going to show you guys a little proof of where that came from now. Overwhelming? Was that kind of overwhelming? Was that, yikes. Now remember I told you you're gonna wanna go home and burn your house down. I'm trying to give you, one of the 5 essentials is essential number 5. Minimize what? Minimizing toxins. You're not gonna eliminate them, but we need to be taking action steps. That may be your write or down or action step. Go through your makeup, right? Go through your lotions, your facial, your skin. Go through that. We have, there's quite a few things like the vendors in the back with the deodorant. Right away you can change your skin, things you can right away change. We've got some vendors back there that can help you with that. Your pesticide sprays you can change right away, right? I think Beauty Counter, we have a little information at our booth in the back about Beauty Counter is one. I think Brenna posted something about a makeup that they have on Target that's actually really good. If you check out our Facebook page, the Erb Family Wellness Facebook page, I think she posted something about some makeup. So this is something we're gonna have to take some action steps on, because this is really an overwhelming amount of chemicals. Now, the detox system is that product I told you about, okay? And the important thing to know is that there's 2 bottles in here. This is a cellular detox, not a colon cleanse. I know many of you have done colon cleanses where you're running back and forth to the toilet. This is not that. This is a cellular cleanse, because when we put this stuff in, it's getting into our cells. This first bottle, the cell detox, is the one that cleans your cells. It's going to bind the toxin, and then the body detox is the one that's actually going to safely remove it out of your body every day. Now, typically what you do is you take this one in the morning and this one before bed, okay? Now, if you're a person like me where you fall asleep times before you take that second dosage, if you wake up the next morning and you start all over again, but you don't dump it, then you didn't clear that whole, it's got 2 steps. You got to clear it from the body. So what you'd want to do is the next morning, do your second step, and then maybe before lunch, do this one and start over. You guys with me? Make sure you go through both steps. That's the whole purpose. A very unique product to be able to eliminate toxins out of the system. Again, this could be why some of us are holding on fat. It could be one of the reasons, right? So very important, and maybe one of the action steps on there. Okay, so exercise versus medicine. So who hates exercise? Anybody? All right, come on, bring it up. Right? Okay, just because we hate it doesn't make it any less essential, right? We still have to figure out how to make sure we're sucking in a lot of oxygen, because oxygen is essential. Building lean muscle is essential. So even though we hate it, in fact, I'll tell you myself, for one of these 5 essentials, the thing that would dump off for me first was my workout. And my excuse, because of my limited thinking, was I got everybody to take care of. I got too many things going on. I got to take care of my kids. I would always use something as an excuse. Anybody else use that excuse? Okay, so what I did was I said, well, that is a limiting belief, and I don't have time, but you know what? I'll figure out a place to do it. And so that's when we started waking up in the morning and doing it. And I hate waking up in the morning. I hate it.
That might be a limiting belief.
Mm-hmm. But I do, even though I don't like it, right? And I do it, and I see the benefits from it. Now, we actually have I love the stat here. So exercise is more effective, like from a brisk walk, than treating depression with traditional prescriptions, like with antidepressants. That is an easy thing. Like, okay, you know what? I don't want to be taking antidepressants. Let's just get out. Let's get moving every day. Now, we actually have a workout program with Maximize Living. It's called Max T3. And Max T3, the 2 T's stand for time, tempo, type. So you can mix up how much time, how fast you're doing it, your intensity, and the type of exercise. And you can also do it anywhere. So you can download it on your phone, you can put it on your laptop, and you can get a 12-minute workout anywhere you want to, and you can follow them while they're exercising, and they have the time where they're kind of counting down. Who does Max T3?
Come on.
We actually have someone in here that does Max T3. Where's Ed?
Where's Ed at?
Ed, come up here.
Bring it. All right, so.
Some of the limiting beliefs we'll address here.
Yeah, so Ed came in. How long have you guys been at the office, Ed?
Round of applause.
Round of applause for Ed. Come on, bring it in. Give some love.
7 years.
7 years.
About,
okay, so
yeah.
about 7 years. When he started, what was going on when you started?
I was getting bronchitis every year.
Yeah.
Or pneumonia, one or the other.
He was sick probably as much as he was not expressing symptoms.
Yeah,
but he did all of this. We checked his spine. We found a major cause in his spine. We started doing all the essentials, and one of those was to get him moving again through Max T3. Now, the first thing you're thinking of, can I get a good workout in 12 minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
it works. Yeah,
he started doing Max T3, but he had some, not necessarily limiting beliefs, but he had some limitations, because what were you doing all the time with your job?
I travel a lot.
So he's traveling.
I was traveling
so,
quite a bit in
So some of you
hotels.
guys might out there go, well, I can't do it. I'm on the road. I can't do it on the road. So what was your solution before you hit the road?
I carry one set of bands that I can use for pull-ups. So pull-ups, push-ups, squats, running places, all kinds of stuff you can do.
But you're in the hotel.
And I call ahead and I ask for a ground floor room.
Now, why would he ask for a ground floor room?
Right, exactly right. So I can, and I don't use the fitness center in the hotel. All I have is machines in there and there's no room. So I just do it in my room.
All right, so would you say you saw some great physical results from Max T3?
I just finished taking 6 months of Krav Maga and kickboxing.
And how old are you?
71.
71, and he's doing Krav Maga. Yes, you should clap. Good, that's awesome. Give me a hug, brother. Good.
Ask him about the testing that he's done, though.
Oh, so you also did some testing? So what was the testing?
The metabolic testing, we've done it, I don't know, several times. We're about to do it again, actually. And about that bronchitis, she nailed it. She showed me that's why you get bronchitis. And we corrected some things, and it's been 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had so much as a cold. I haven't had so much as an aspirin in that period of time.
That's
And
awesome.
there was a skin issue you were dealing with too, and that cleared up too.
Yes, sugar.
There goes sugar.
I know it when I eat sugar because it flares up.
Mm-hmm.
So she told me that my skin is my check engine light, and she's right.
So is yours. Yes.
That's
So
awesome.
good. Round of applause. Get it up. Good.
I love you. You're awesome. You guys are awesome. So by way of review, we have 3 commitments. What was the first commitment? Sugar. Second commitment? Rethink your fat. Third commitment? Rethink your... Good job. Okay. Want to make sure our brain's engaged there. Now, Max Fit. This is one of the best products out there to give you all of the ingredients necessary to be able to help you with the whole weight loss thing. There's green tea, decaffeinated green tea extract, ashwagandha, carnitine. All of these ingredients actually help you to decrease your cortisol levels. Some of you are so stressed out of your mind that you're actually storing fat right here, right around the middle. This product is to help you decrease the fat right around the middle, okay? It's also helpful to be able to help you with your energy during your workout, right? And your recovery after your workout. So this product, Max Fit, is part of the bundle. I think we did detox system already. Again, that's going to help remove the toxins from your fat. And then this Max Fit's going to help you with your cortisol levels and your blood sugar imbalance issues. That's what the Max Fit is for, okay? So you want to take that, and I would take that, the best way to take that one, you can take it with your cell detox. When you take your cell detox before this one right here. Remember this one? You can take the Max Fit with your cell detox in the morning, so 30 minutes before you eat, and then you can do it before your lunch and before your dinner. That's what you'll do with your the Max Fit. Is everybody clear? So here's your Max Fit. You're going to do this 3 times a day, 30 minutes before each meal. This is one time a day because it's part of the detox system, so you can do these together 1 time a day, okay? Just to be efficient. Help? Everybody good? Any questions? Okay. All right, good. That's this product right here. Oh, those are the bundles right there. Let me get this stuff organized. So these are the 2 bundles. Again, we've got the protein for your smoothies. So everybody like your smoothie this morning? That's 1 meal a day. Now you can mix that up. There's a lot of recipes. Go to Herb Family Foods, open up that cookbook. There's a ton. I think there's about 20 smoothie recipes in there. So some of you want to mix it up a little bit. You don't have to just put strawberries in there. You can do blueberries. You can just do it by itself if you don't want to have any berries at all. You don't have to have a blender, but you can get a blender, right? You can do frozen strawberries. You can just pull some from your refrigerator and throw them in there. Throw a little handful of spinach. In fact, I did not like spinach, but I knew spinach liked me, so I had to learn to like it. So I actually started learning to like spinach by putting it in my smoothies, and now I'll actually eat it whenever because I know it's something good for me. It's a principle, it's a law, so I'm gonna follow it if it's a principle and a law. So that's just going to be really important. Again, if you like more meat and potatoes, that's going to be the whey protein, and that plant protein, if you're more plant-based, that's going to be the plant-based bundle. So those are the 2 bundles to help you with your 30-day Resolve Challenge, okay? Now, I'm going to show you something again, another disturbing something here, poison to become fat, Okay, we're not going to burn our houses down, but we just want to see this, okay? Right? Good.
What if this baby is already irreversibly programmed to be a fat 40-year-old? What if something is happening to our children prenatally that is programming all of us to be heavier than we should be? What if, over generations, we are actually altering our species' ability to stay slim? No matter how hard we try. Scientists studying obesity have begun to suspect that there's something more at play here than just calories in and calories out.
There are chemical agents that we encounter which can change how our body responds to calories.
If you give low doses, you do end up with fat mice.
New evidence suggests that what's making us fat is not just modern lifestyles, but also modern chemicals.
Programmed to be fat. That's kind of disturbing, huh? Programmed to be fat. That video. Look at the kids around us now. Like, they're way heavier. Dr. David hit it on the percentage of obesity that we have in here. So we are actually, with all these chemicals that we just talked about, the body's doing the right thing, right? The body's doing the right thing by holding fat on there. But we don't want this stuff on us. So that's why we do things like the detox system, right? So even like this study right here actually talks about obesogens. Everybody say obesogens. Obesogens was an environmental link to obesity, and this study just talked about how you're actually, even with your low-end body or BMI index, with all these chemicals, the environmental chemicals, it's triggering us to be gaining weight. So this study really, he actually talked about the researchers are gathering convincing evidence of chemical obesogens that are found in dietary, so we got genetically modified, right? All the genetically modified organism food, pharmaceutical, all the medications. Guys, we don't want to take all these medications. We really want to get to the cause, right? We don't want to be taking all these medications. So dietary, pharmaceutical, and just industry compounds that are messing up our metabolic processes and predisposing us to gain weight. Now, they said that the average umbilical cord, they tested now, umbilical cord after birth, and they're finding that we have over 200 chemicals in the umbilical cord at birth. Now, that wasn't like that 40 years ago. So that's why I'm saying that the kids are being exposed to so many chemicals because mom's being exposed to so many chemicals now. And so we're setting ourselves up, even at a very young age, with these obesogens, and the studies are showing it. Now, BPA, everybody's heard of BPA, right? So everybody's heard of BPA. Hard plastic water bottles, we're starting to kind of, they're starting to talk about BPA-free, things like that, but we still have BPA issues in our recycled papers, coffee cup lids. So you go to your favorite coffee shop and the coffee cup lid has BPA, so the heat, causes the heat to the lid on the inside, and then it drips back down into your coffee cup, right? So we're getting BPAs in our coffee. We're not even trying to. So the lids, dental sealants, canned foods, toilet paper, and credit card receipts. You don't want to handle receipts, guys. They have all kinds of toxic chemicals in them, these receipts. So why should we ban BPA? It messes with our insulin, causes insulin resistance, chromosome damage, egg damage, low sperm count, breast cancer, prostate, growth, early puberty, hyperactivity, all these types of things. So just be making sure you're looking at your cans that they say BPA free. Just be real intentional about that because this stuff is really dangerous. They did a study on what it does to your endocrine level, that what are endocrine disruptors, and all these chemicals actually destroy your endocrine levels. And so you want to know why we're all screwed up, with our hormones and why we're doing all this hormone replacement stuff. You can keep on putting in hormones, right? And every time you go in, you get your levels tested, and they keep putting in more. But if you don't get to the cause of why your hormones are low or trashed, you know, the low T and you guys follow me? All these hormones that are being destroyed. If you don't get to the cause of it, you're actually never going to get well. You're end up developing a disease of some kind. You're end up developing and building something. So we got to look at the things that destroy our hormones. That's going to be pesticides, herbicides, the BPA, pharmaceuticals, dietary, phytoestrogens, all these things. So the EDCs may have, the endocrine disrupting chemicals, they have organizational effects during development. So during the development process of a baby being developed, and we consume these things, it actually can cause developmental process or activational effects in adulthood that influence sexual, dimorphic, reproductively relevant, well, it's a lot of words there, processes or other functions by mimicking, antagonizing, altering steroid actions. What's it saying? It's saying you take in all these chemicals, what you were supposed to be developing hormone-wise is not going to be developing. It's going to be altered. You guys see, can you see like this up? Kind of a big deal. Having challenges in that department right now, but that's been going on since all this plastics, BPA stuff, chemical stuff came out. So even if you take a look at the estradiol, like the hormone, like the structure of it, and you look at DDT, which is the stuff, they're kind of still doing DDT even in New York City, bed bugs are doing that. DDT, look at the structure. It mimics it. These chemicals are so similar in their compound to our own hormones. That's why they call them xenoestrogens. Say xenoestrogens. Xenoestrogens are these chemicals that we're talking about right now that mimic our own natural hormonal processes. That's what makes them so dangerous. Now, I know we're concerned about gluten, guys. We're concerned about gluten. But there's some other issues that we need to be more concerned about. Check this out.
If it's being used so much, do we know how much people actually ingest from the food that we eat? I mean, you hear the whole spectrum saying, you know, rinse off your food and it's fine, to, you know, be careful what you eat, the clean 15 and all that. Do we know how much we're actually getting into our body?
Well, we know that, start with, it's a systemic chemical.
Okay.
Just like 2,4-D. It's taken up, and that's what's made it such a popular herbicide, is you can squirt it on the plant, and it distributes throughout the plant then, moves down into the root system, and then about 15 to 20% will move out into the soil for that antibiotic activity there. So that anytime you're eating the food, you're going to have glyphosate in it if it's been sprayed with it, or if it's taken it up from the soil, because it's a systemic chemical. It accumulates in the root tips, shoot tips, and the reproductive structures. Well, those are the things that we eat. Mm-hmm. We know that our levels in the surveys that have been done, and they're be nice to have a lot more data, but we know that our levels are anywhere from 16 to 160 times what they are in Europe, where they don't have the genetically engineered crops grown. They do import soybeans and feed it to the animals. But glyphosate also accumulates in the bones, in the muscle, the heart, the brain, liver, kidneys, so that you have even 160 times more glyphosate in breast milk than you have in the urine. So that it's accumulating in the body. Again, it's a very toxic entity on a long-term basis. It's like tobacco. It's a chronic toxin, not an acute toxin, so you don't die immediately, just like you don't keel over dead when you smoke the first pack of cigarettes. It may take 20 years to accumulate. If you look at the epidemiological data and the clinical data that we're seeing now that's being published, it's a lot faster than we anticipate.
So what might have been like 15, 20 years for cigarettes, they're saying this is a whole lot faster. Okay, the glyphosate, they're spraying it so it's inside the plant. It's inside the plant in the roots. in the reproductive process. So when you want to have another tomato grow off there, it's in, you guys follow me? It's in the roots. It's in the next tomato. That's why this stuff is so evil. That's why we have to be very wise shoppers and start every grocery store we go to. That's why we're taking people to natural grocers. There's, Sprouts is starting to have things that are labeled. You gotta start asking for people. If we put our money into things that we insist are going to be healthy, the other stuff won't get sold, and it will create a demand for good stuff. And that's really, we have to shop, our money will speak louder than this stuff. But you got to be very careful when you shop, because this genetically modified organisms, that's the whole glyphosate. I do that. I told you about the metabolics testing. In the past 2.5 years, I've seen more cases of hepatitis and leaky gut syndrome and digestive problems, like celiac. You guys probably have too, right? Have you seen more issues with that? I've seen more people suffering with that, and I'm telling you, it's the genetically modified. It's genetically modified. We are turning on genes that were never meant to be turned on, and we are creating diseases we were never meant to create because of this whole process. So be very careful when we shop. I would like to say we can have our own gardens, but unfortunately, when you start having your own garden, the town decides they want to spray for bugs, and your garden gets covered with spray. So it kind of, I don't know what the answer is, but we've got to shop differently. Okay, we've got to really shop differently. It's very dangerous. We had things like Frankenfood. I mean, they're injecting 3,000 chemicals, 3,000 food additives in our meat. And so, the cows are eating this stuff that's sprayed with glyphosate, and then we eat the cow, and you see how girls are actually starting their period at 8 years old. They're starting to develop fully at 8 years old. That's not how it's supposed to happen, but it's because we're really screwing with our hormones. We're messing and trashing our hormones. You check out this strawberry, again, just talking about labels, like the ingredients of the shake you guys just had, there were 4 ingredients. You had a strawberry, organic. You had stevia that didn't have dextrose in it. You had perfect, the grass-fed protein, right? And you had like strawberry, stevia, perfect protein, like there were like 3 ingredients in there. Like that's what you guys had. There's not even a strawberry in the whole thing. This is what we have out there. We got to be careful with this stuff. You can make this stuff at home. I actually have this demo of the Lunchables. You guys seen the Lunchables out there? That's been there a couple years. It looks exactly the same way it did when you first bought it. There's no nutrient value to it. But this Lunchables, I mean, no nutrient value in it. It still sits there and there's no mold on it. You can check it out. Somebody actually reached in there and tried to eat one of the crackers in there. Anyway, I don't think they liked it. I don't know. Maybe they did. So another study here of pediatricians. Do you guys enjoy the science on this? There's a lot of science in here. So food additives, especially colorings, have been linked to all types of neurological and behavioral disorders, as well as many others. So they got the Journal of Pediatrics and Child Health talking about all these ADD, ADHD kids having problems with learning disorders. Listen, we got to look to this. These are easy things that we can change in feeding our kids to be able to help them. Now, we did a demo in the office of this. We put like an organic apple out. You guys should do this for yourself. Put an organic apple out with no chemicals sprayed on it and put a conventional apple. Now, what's going to happen is the conventional apple, after a couple weeks, is going to look exactly the same. But what should the organic apple do? It should rot if it's live, because all things that God created are programmed to die. So you don't want to put this dead stuff that's full of chemicals in there, but we're kind of tricked a little bit because when we see it in the grocery store, it looks nicer, right? So you got to be real careful with this, but this is a good experiment. I even do this at home for yourself. Check out this research article. Cancer is preventable disease. It requires major lifestyle changes. Well, that's encouraging, right? Cancer is preventable. We just got to make some changes. We just gave you a whole lot of really amazing things to make changes to actually prevent and overcome some of these things. In fact, if you check out this right here, is this environmental carcinogens, the ring around the circle shows you all the cancers. Okay? So all the cancers that have environmental triggers to them. So if you look at testicular cancer, we got our environmental organic pollutants. We got sarcomas and lymphomas, dioxane. We got kids' leukemia, pesticides. Lung cancer, polyaromatic hydrocarbons. All these chemicals have a major cause and impact on these different types of cancers. So now what we want to get into is what road are we going to be taking? And are we headed in the right direction? We want to know, are we headed in the right direction?
Oh, Julie, yeah. So Julie, come here.
Let's talk about Julie. Say, everybody clap for Julie.
Julie, give her some love. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. That was crazy. That was like a golfer's clap at the end. That was nuts. Let's give Julie some love with some Ric Flairness. 2 claps and Ric Flair. It's not bad. Okay.
Okay,
right.
so Julie is actually on this journey, right? And so we want to share with you guys kind of Julie's journey and how she's doing actually in this whole process. So tell us about how long you've been here.
You want me to take
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. How long have you been here?
I've been here 6 months.
Okay. Is our mic working? I don't know if it's working. Not working?
Close. Get it close.
Maybe
I've
we
been
need
here
maybe we need to turn it on.
Just right there. Just one time.
Power, baby, power.
I've been here 6
Yay!
months.
Okay, 6 months. Okay, so you've been here 6 months, and before you came in, what was going on in your health? What was your major? Give us your major health.
Well, I was definitely hopeless. I've been in this industry for about 14 years now, so I've known kind of the miracles what chiropractic can do because I lived it. And about, I guess, 4 years ago now, I got diagnosed with a tumor on my spine growing down my sciatic nerve. And so in that process of trying to figure out what to do, other chiropractors would not treat me because they didn't really know what to do. And medical doctors wanted to put me in surgery to remove the tumor, but that's against everything I believe in, so I didn't do it. So I did nothing, which my health spiraled downward. And actually, at my worst, I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't feel my foot, couldn't put any pressure on my foot at the same time. So fast forward to now, I'm at the Erbs. And it's, God kicked me in the butt and said, don't let your gifts go to waste anymore, and I just got up and I just, found hope. And so I found the Erbs. I've been going through treatment. And when I met them, I got hope, which is the first step, I think, okay? And then I've been going through the process of being a patient and actually can feel my foot now. So I still walk a little funny, but I'm walking better every day. I mean, I'm going through it as a patient. I've lost 35 pounds and 33 inches. So I feel better than I felt in years. And my goal is to actually do CrossFit with them. So, and I know I'm going to get there. There's no doubt in my mind. So it's amazing stuff. I also just did metabolics testing.
And did you need to do anything? Did you have any areas
you
need to work on?
So definitely. I mean, and so I'm going through that right now, and it's just been amazing, that detox process. So I'm doing intermittent fasting. So, I mean, it's just amazing stuff.
We're all
Beautiful.
somewhere along the way, but isn't this exciting? This is, this is exciting. So thank you,
Good.
Julie. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you. Sure.
Fill them out.
Everybody look at this picture for a second, and then keep writing. So get your phones out. I want you to get lots of tickets. I want everybody to have a greater chance to win. These, because we're going to give away the big ending prizes, metabolic prize at the end and all the rest. But this picture is probably my favorite picture I've ever had of anything of being in practice the last 20 years. And it's not a joke. It actually is a pretty cool picture with a black background. It actually shows my heart. And you can't see my physical heart, but you can see my emotional heart in that picture. And this for me is the most quintessential picture of me that I can possibly show you. Because this is me with the most innocent of the innocent. And let me just tell you, your Father in heaven looks at you exactly the same way, no matter what age you are right now. And this is a newborn baby getting their first checkup. And she needed to be adjusted, and she got an adjustment, and it was as light as you can possibly imagine. If you've ever seen me adjust a newborn, you know it's so light you can't even tell when I did it. But that adjustment changed this little girl's entire life. And this little girl had a sister, and we adjusted her, and they're 14 months apart. They're Irish twins. So they're 14 months apart, and that family and the mom and the grandparents and these girls have been getting adjusted since this day. And yesterday, I adjusted the girls and the family again on my day over at Southlake at our other office, And this is the picture from yesterday. And what this does is the same thing I wanted to do in your life. Where this baby was headed is where most babies are headed. And most babies without this are headed to a medical end, a medical lifestyle, a medication lifestyle, bankruptcy lifestyle, dying early, hurting, being convinced that that's what happens when you're 30 or you're 40 or you're 50, that your joints break down. This is where this baby was headed. Now these babies are headed in an amazing direction. They're never sick. When we took this picture yesterday, I told her I was thinking about using this. The grandmother just went off and she was like, these are the healthiest kids that you'll be able to find on the face of planet Earth. These are maximized living kids. These are Erb family wellness kids. They're just freaks with their health compared to other ones. But it's not that they're freaks because they are freaks. It's because how unhealthy everybody else is. And as soon as you see that, guess what? Can you see, look at this team. Look at these volunteers. This is the heart of every single person in this room. That we want you, even if we're not starting out at this age, we want you to have this. At whatever level, whatever possibility is there, we want you to have that. In fact, I honestly think most of the time, this team wants that more than most people do. But that's okay. I would rather be associated and have people lead me that care more about me than I do sometimes. But I can tell you, it only happens when you take action. You know, again, I go back to Henry Ford. He said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I think the biggest part of today for you was getting in between these two pieces of flesh here is because you've convinced yourself what's possible and what's not possible. And you have to leave with a Branson today. Everybody say Branson. Branson. You have to leave with a Branson today. I hope that before you will even, I'll stay late if you need me to, but I do not want you to walk out that door without having at least some idea of something you're in training for, a Branson. And then I also don't want you to walk through that door and go back to that parking lot or go back to your car without identifying some limiting beliefs that you know you have. Just like my mom with her basketball knee or your age or you're not a morning person or whatever it is, I want you to get two down. And it may not be even anything on the list I talked about, but you need to identify those things and they need to be written down because you need to come to war with that because those things will hold you down. And I didn't tell the story, but I'm going to tell it. I had a lady come in, she wrote Christmas letters, you know, she does every year. She did that for 25 years. She wrote these Christmas letters. Her daughter gave her a gift by putting them all together and made a book. So she had 25 years of all the history of all the years in all these letters. And her mom gave it to her and she was so excited. She goes, Mom, but can I tell you something? She goes, it's interesting, in every single year for 25 years, you said, I'm going to lose the weight this year. In every single year. Now we kind of laugh, I kind of laughed too a little bit when I first read it. She kind of laughed telling me about it. But here's the thing. The definition of hell in Greek mythology is the guy that has the boulder that's bigger than him and he rolls it all day long up a hill through pain and suffering to get it up and then it rolls back down and he has to repeat it every day for eternity. That's what hell is. Nobody here wants to have the same year next year or this year that you had last year. And we don't want it for you either. But the only way it'll change is not because you finally discipline yourself into getting up. Until you finally, twist your arm verbally, personally, whatever, masochistically, to get yourself to stop eating sugar. The only way that happens is if you have something big enough to live for, a Branson or something in training, that you break through some limiting beliefs and you actually get some affirmations that start to change you and add to you and you love yourself enough to do it. Can you hear me? Mm-hmm. That starts with a journey. If you've been, watch this, if you've been in my office for under a year, raise your hand up. Under a year? Good. Okay, now put it down. Over a year. Okay, that's amazing. Over 2 years. Okay, down. Over 3 years. Over 4. Now just hold them up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Listen, I'm going to start crying. 11, right? How many? 12? 11 or 12? Listen, all journeys start with one step. Okay? If you're a guest, today's your day. We're going to have such a good time. I can't wait to sit down with you. I can't wait to lead you and encourage you, and this whole team can't wait to be part of that journey with you. But if you're a patient, whether you're a patient or a guest, this journey starts again today, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Right? So for 1 month, we're going to have a challenge. And I want every single person here to play what? Hard, but also to have what? Fun. And listen, this is where we get together as a community. You know, zebras don't last long in Africa by themselves. So be part of the community. Show up. Show up for Saturday. Show up for the workshop. Show up for the doctor's shop with the doc. Call us. Get on Facebook, the family, the Erb Family Friends. Get on Erb Family Foods and get some more recipes. Reach out. Be part of this. Get an accountability partner. This is a good time, and this is a good time to restart if you've done something similar to this in the past. And come to stuff, and we're going to pray it up. So if you would bow your heads. So Father, we just thank you so much for today. Thank you for a great group of people and all of us coming together as a community of people. That we're all friends in this family. We're all brothers and sisters, no matter what part of the world and what walk of life, that we're all brothers and sisters. And I ask God that you would bless the minutes that were had today, that it's not information, but it's revelation, then it's applied, that it's miraculous revelation, so that every single person here experiences you in a new way, has miracles, signs, and wonders that bring evidence, Father, to an entire world to make them believe more, feel more, take action, have results that should be results. So, Father, we just love you and praise you. Thank you for freedom that you're creating. Bless them as they go from here. Bless the next month as we all stretch, as we move through knotholes and limiting beliefs. Help every single person go away with their thing they're training for, their Branson. Help them break through their limiting beliefs. Help them have affirmations that you give them, who you know they are to be, Father. So just, we love you, we praise you, we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, thanks for being here, everybody.
Bless you guys.